in Malayali, but yes, I'll be your host for the day. So good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome on behalf of HCL Foundation and CSR Box. My name is Anush Srivastava, and I extend a very warm welcome to all of you, those who are present here, and thank you for joining us. After having witnessed the roaring success of 8 editions of HCL Grant, for which all of us are here today, we're excited to be back with a new name this time. HCL Grant, and you please make a note of it, HCL Grant is now known as HCLTech Grant. And please be assured that it's not a technology grant. This is with our new brand identity. We intend to take the legacy of transforming rural India forward with your support. So the intent, the grant remains the same for the 3 categories, which is environment, health, and education. It has nothing to do with technology, so don't get confused with the new name, which is HCLTech Grant. Before we'll proceed with the agenda, I'll just quickly talk about a quick history of where this journey has kind of begun. So HCL Grant started in 2015, and it's a corporate social responsibility commitment by HCLTech, which is our parent company, through HCL Foundation, which is the CSR wing, CSR arm of HCL Foundation, to strengthen and empower the NGOs, engage with them, as well as recognize them for their path-breaking work. Currently focused on rural development, the HCLTech Grant awards the 3 thematic categories, namely environment, health, and education. And each year, the winning NGOs are awarded with the grant of rupees 5 crores for a 4-year project. The grant also rewards 2 finalists in each of the category with rupees 25 lakh for a 1-year project. Thus, the total committed fund for HCL Grant each year is 16.5 crores. And today, we are hosting our 2nd symposium of HCLTech Grant Edition 9. And we kicked off with our first symposium from Bangalore city. And now we are here in Trivandrum. So before we move ahead, let me ask all of you a very quick question. What comes to your mind when you hear a word hero? Anybody can answer. Anybody would like to volunteer and would wish to answer? Does anybody wants to say the answer? While I say, what is it that the first thing which comes to your mind when we say hero? Anybody, please. All right, so since I'm getting no answers, so we at HCL Foundation believe that the heroes are, everybody is sitting here working for the community, working for the planet to elevate, the unprivileged, underprivileged communities. We all are real superheroes in real sense. It is the community of which we are fortunate and privileged to be a part of. So first and foremost, let's start with a huge round of applause for ourselves, the kind of work each one of us, trying to do and achieve. All right, so before we further go with the program, I would request everybody to kindly raise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you. The HCLTech Grant Pan-India Symposiums are an effort by HCL Foundation, CSR Box, and the academia to bring together NGOs, experts, government, corporates, and policy makers on the same platform across India so that they can interact, develop regional as well as sectoral understandings of CSR, and that's the reason we travel to all these cities to understand different sets of cultures, to understand the sectoral priorities, and deliberate on how it can contribute to the larger nation building, which is the ethos of HCL Grant. And I'm happy to share with all of you today that since 2017, since the journey has begun, HCLTech Grant has hosted 44 in-person physical symposiums covering the length and breadth of the country, and 22 e-symposiums during the COVID-19, witnessing participation of over 25,000 plus NGOs, the civil society organizations, and thousands of people associated with them. This year too, we have the opportunity to meet and host non-for-profits in and around multiple locations pan-India. And as I mentioned, that we started this year's journey with Bangalore, and today we are here in Trivandrum. The remaining 6 cities would be Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Guwahati, Raipur, and New Delhi. I'm sure many of your acquaintances and many of your NGO friends would be in these cities. So please feel free to convey the messaging to them so that in case they are present there, they can come and attend the symposiums. All right, before we move ahead, let us start our day formally. And to begin with, I would now like to invite upon stage Dr. Saji P. Jacob, Principal and Head, Loyola College of Social Sciences, to kindly come and give the welcome address on behalf of our academic partners. Thank you, Dr. Jacob, for hosting us today. It is our privilege to be at the Loyola.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Arun, for your invitation. As a representative of the academic partner, Loyola College of Social Sciences, it's my pleasant privilege to extend a very warm welcome to one and all present here. This program came to Loyola with a very short notice. In fact, the whole idea reached us just around a month ago. And when I received a call from the representatives of HCLTech, I think I didn't take much time to respond positively and agree to the proposal to conduct the program at Loyola, because in many ways, what I could gather from the the brief descriptions which I received from the HCLTech, I thought it represents what Loyola also stands for. We also make a humble effort in our own ways to make an impact in the lives of the rural communities, marginalized, say, people who are struggling to survive in this very competitive world. So therefore, we thought maybe a network of this kind, which brings people who are directly involved in the nation building process, by standing with people who are struggling to make their both ends meet. So we thought maybe this is a platform which will provide Loyola also a chance to reach out to the agencies which are working in the in these sectors. And that is one personal value that we thought about at the time of accepting this proposal. Now, I was going through the brochure of HCLTech grant, and I found a lot of aspects matching with that of the vision of Loyola. So it's therefore like in many ways we look forward to this association, and we think that we hope that this association will help mutually enriching for all of us here. And without moving much into the, the nitty-gritties of the symposium here, let me move on to my responsibility of extending, our, love and welcome to each one of you who are present here. May I invite Mr. Santosh Jayaram, Global Head Sustainability, HCLTech. It's our pleasure to have you here, sir. And we look forward to your further association with all of us. Next person is Mr. Robin Thomas, manager. He has been interacting with us for some time, and I'm sure that Mr. Robin would have found at home at Loyola. And I take this opportunity to extend a very warm welcome to you. Mr. Nikhil Pant, CSR advisor and former Chief Program Executive, National Foundation for CSR, IICA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India, is present here. Sir, I consider it a privilege for me to extend a very warm welcome to you. All others who are here, I'm sure that there are people who are working in various corners and various sectors all across India present here. And it's my privilege and honor to extend a very warm welcome to each one of you. Please feel at home at Loyola. We believe that people who come to Loyola always carry with them, a sense of belonging. And we always look forward to that kind of a mutually enriching engagement at Loyola. So with these few words, I remain. And once again, a warm welcome to one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jacob, and I request you to please kindly remain on the dais. Can we have a huge round of applause, firstly for Dr. Jacob, and humble thanks for hosting us today. We are very privileged to be here. And may I now invite Mr. Santosh Jayaram, Global Head Sustainability, HCLTech, to please felicitate our academic partner, Loyola College of Social Sciences. Can we have the memento, please? So that's a little thank you from on behalf of HCLTech to Loyola College of Social Sciences. And once again, thank you very much for hosting us today. All right, I request both of you to please remain on the dais. And before I actually invite Mr. Jayaram for the keynote address today, I'll just take a minute to quickly talk about him, his strong credentials. So Mr. Jayaram is currently heading the Global Sustainability Wing at HCL Technologies. In his role, he helps strategize and integrate sustainable value creation, not just inside HCL, but to all its stakeholders. He believes that the convergence of digitalization and sustainability is critical to the sustainable future. In his previous role with KPMG, he led one of the biggest sustainability consulting teams in Asia. He has worked across 20 countries and multiple sectors in the space of sustainability and climate change. He is also a fellow with Institute of Directors, India. And after graduating in Mechanical Engineering, Calicut University, he did his Master's in Environmental Sciences and Engineering, IIT Mumbai. In 2010, he completed a course covering sustainable technologies from University of California, Berkeley campus. Some of his work with clients are case studies with leading institutes like Harvard and INSEAD. I think it's pretty big in terms of capturing the credentials. So on that note, I humbly invite Mr. Santosh Jayaram to kindly give the keynote address. Over to you.
Good morning and namaskaram to all of you. Thank you for that elaborate introduction. I can definitely speak in Malayalam, but since many of them would not understand, so I'll continue this in English. So first of all, thanks to Loyola College for hosting us. And I would also thank the HCL Foundation and especially Robin to have invited me. Because on my way, I was just telling my cab driver that although I now live in Kerala, I did all my schooling, my bachelor's, everything here in Kerala. But I'm coming back to Trivandrum after 1988 for the first time. When I told this to my cab driver, he said that he was not born during that time. So Yeah, I mean, I came here, the last time I came here was to prepare for my engineering entrance. Just behind the secretariat, there was the coaching classes which used to conduct, and I came here for that. And it's after such a long time, I get an opportunity to come, so thanks to the foundation and all. As introduced, I am the Global Head of Sustainability at HCLTech. Just before I start the address, maybe I should introduce the organization a bit. I do not know how many of you know, it started as Hindustan Computers Limited, and today we are known as HCLTech. HCL introduced the first PC in India in 1978. It was before even IBM and Apple came out with their PC. So I think it's something which all of us Indians need to be proud of, that we were way ahead even at that time. So today we are known as HCLTech, home to about 240,000 people, employees, and we work across about 60 countries as of now. We are currently one of the fastest growing IT services companies. Last year we got together and said, what is the exact purpose of us as HCLTech? Why do we exist? And so we came out by saying is that our purpose is to bring together the best of the technology and the people to supercharge progress. Now, when we say supercharge progress, for whom? And we also said that we would like to supercharge progress for our clients, of course, for our people and the community and our planet. So what as a company, we are there to bring in the technology and the competence of our people to supercharge progress for our clients, our people, the community, and of course, the planet as well. And then when I'm almost about 20 months now into this role, and when I came into HCLTech, we also said that, how do we go about doing this? That's how we came out with a philosophy where we called it as act, pact, and impact. It was easy to communicate because if you remove the I and the M from the impact, it becomes pact. And if you remove the P, it becomes act. So act, pact, and impact. This underlying philosophy, we said that act because it all starts with us. If we are not doing it, we cannot be standing here and preaching to the others. So it all starts with us. We understand that responsibility. So whatever we do as an entity is the act part of it. But there is a limitation to which how much we can create the desired impact when we do it alone. And that's the pact. And that's the pact, the reason why we are holding these kind of sessions. To work with all of you to create a bigger impact. And impact, of course, is the outcome of act and pact. And as mentioned, HCL Foundation is the CSR arm of HCLTech. We are super proud the kind of work which HCL Foundation has been doing. And we really look forward to kind of partnering with all of you in the journey towards creating the desired impact. I would also like to mention that, as mentioned and as I had also said, it has been almost about 3 decades of professional career. There are not too many people with gray hair who work in this space. So because of that, get a privilege in working out some of the policy directions and all. So I sit in a couple of committees by the Securities and Exchange Board of India, and one such committee is the evolution of the social stock exchange. So we are in the final stages of doing that. And during the course of the day, if any of you would like to understand a little more about that, I would be happy to share my thoughts around that. And so I would summarize my words by saying that we really at HCLTech, we really look forward to supercharge progress to the community, working with all of you, and really looking forward to your inputs during the course of the day. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Jairam, for those kind words and giving the keynote address. I request you to please stay back on the dais, and I take this opportunity to invite Mr. Avni Kumar Verma on stage to kindly felicitate Mr. Santosh Jairaman, an ex-IFS officer and the chief conservationist, Mr. Verma. Can we have a round of applause for Mr. Avni Kumar Verma, a senior advisor and consultant with the HCL Foundation? So please, thank you. And once again, a big thanks to Mr. Santosh Jairaman for all the way flying from Delhi to Trivandrum exclusively for this symposium. Thank you, Mr. Verma, for joining us. I would now like to take this opportunity to invite upon stage the key pillar of HCL Grant, and I'm sure all of you by now have seen him and heard his name, Mr. Robin Thomas, manager HCL Foundation, to set the context and give the overview of HCL Foundation. Mr. Thomas, please join me on the stage. Can we have a round of applause for Robin? Yeah.
Thank you so much. Allarku namaskaram. I am Robin Thomas. I am also native of Kerala. My native place is Kottarakara, which is not that far from this place. And that is also one reason why we are doing this symposium, because I can go to my hometown also. So last symposium which we did for HCL Grant was in Kochi in 2018, and we were hosted by Rajagiri College in Kochi. And that time also we got requests from Trivandrum side NGOs, and especially the Tamil Nadu NGOs, when we couldn't go to Tamil Nadu during that time, that if we could come to Trivandrum in any of the say Grand Seasons editions. And after I think 5 years, now we are back in Kerala in Trivandrum. So thank you Trivandrum for welcoming us so gracefully, and I would like to first of all convey my special thanks to Loyola College, especially our dear Dr. Jacob, for inviting us here, allowing us to do symposium here. And my special thanks to Father Dr. Ranjit Jacob and Dr. Jyoti from the MSW department, who has graciously given her students as volunteers for organizing this symposium, and they were one of the pillars today helping us in organizing and setting up this symposium. So first of all, my gratitude and my thanks to the Loyola College, and this collaboration will continue with HCLTech, HCL Foundation, and we will see that how we can further collaborate with your students, with your departments, and take it forward from here. So thank you first of all to Loyola. A round of applause for the Loyola College team, the entire team of Loyola College, and the faculty members and the students. It's such a beautiful college established in 1963, and it has this history, its presence today, I think covered in 20 acres of land. I was just talking to Father Ranjit, that today if we look for this kind of, this vast land, we will never get in Kerala. But at that time we got it, and now you have built it. Today it's a reputed institution today in Kerala. So thank you so much. So now, I'd also, now before I go to the HCL Foundation, I'd like to basically introduce the HCL Tech. I'm sure Santosh has touched upon it. I'll just give you a background how it's like when HCL Tech started. So today it is called HCL Tech, but when it was started, it was called Hindustan Computers Limited, and it was started in 1976 by one of the legend. Today it is the third largest IT company in India, and we are a $12 billion US company having more than 219,000 employees working globally in 54 countries. So HCL Tech has presence in 54 countries. and in 167 nationalities. But I want to, I would also like to mention that, before I start about HCL Foundation, I want to talk about one legend who started this HCL technologies, and that is Mr. Nadar, Mr. Shiv Nadar. I know everyone knows Mr. Shiv Nadar. He is the one who started this company in 1976, and from a very small town in Tamil Nadu, from a very humble family background, he started this company, and today it is the third largest IT company, and we are serving in 54 countries. I have a small video to show you this, the story of Mr. Shiv Nadar, a story of ambition, a story of determination, a story of integrity he showed all through these years. And right now he recently won the Lifetime Achievement Award by ET, and also the US India Pacific region also, they felicitated him for the, as for the Lifetime Achievement Award. And his legacy, and he's the #1 philanthropist in India today. That we can proudly say that. And a round of applause for him, because of him today we are here, and HCLTech's presence is over globally. So a video on Mr. Nadar. Just hold on, a technical glitch, just a second. Okay. Okay. So I think some technical glitch. I'll show you that video, and without showing that video, I'll not go from here. So, yeah. So, is it working? Yeah. But I will need internet here. So, okay. So let's go to the PPT now. Okay, so how many of you know about HCL Foundation? Can I see a raise of hand? How many of you know about HCL Foundation? Okay, how many of you know about HCL Grant? Very good, that is also not that impressive numbers. So, okay, so I'll be introducing you to HCL Foundation and the HCL Grant. So before I start, so first of all, this symposium series we started from Bangalore, where we had our gracious presence of our Vice President Director, Dr. Nidhi Pundir. Under her leadership, we are doing our symposiums. And you know, Dr. Nidhi Pundir couldn't join us in Trivandrum. She had some very prior commitments, but she has sent her best wishes to all of you, for this Trivandrum symposium. HCL Foundation was started in 2011, and our vision is to be the source code of sustainable socio-economic and environmental development. So by source code, we mean the solution. That source code came from our IT language, which was given by Mr. Nada. So that source code is a solution to all the sustainable socio-economic and environmental development. So if you see, all our projects are aligned to SDGs, 17 SDG goals. And we also we have 10 commandments on the basis of which our entire programs, our entire projects run on ground. So this is our HCL Foundation presence. We are present in 20 states, 3 union territories, and 91 districts of India. Today, if you see the map, there are only very few places where HCL is not there, but HCLTech, HCL Foundation as an entity is present all over India. And if you see our numbers, we have already impacted more than 5.5 million lives in this entire journey of 12 years. In 12 years, more than 5.5 million lives have been transformed. And we are in the field of livelihood, ECCD, education, environment, health, disaster management, and WASH. So if you see so this graph shows the amount of investments of our last year in these thematic categories. And if we move ahead, so these are some of the awards which HCL Foundation has received. So HCL Foundation as an organization, we don't go for paid awards. We never apply for paid awards. We apply for those awards which are not paid and where the credentials and the models are given more importance than any form of recommendations or something. So these awards mostly we have received from the ministries, from the government, and from the, if you see all those departments where our presence is there. Let's move on. So HCL Foundation as organization, we have what we do. So in rural programs, so we have divided it into rural programs, urban programs, environmental action, special initiatives. So if you see, we have 2 rural programs. One is HCLTech Grant, for which we are here, and our edition portal is right now live, and you can apply for that HCLTech Grant Pan-India. So it's a competitive grant. We will talk about it in our later sessions. The second project is HCL Samudaya. So HCL Samudaya is a rural project where we are running it in 11 blocks of Hardoi district as a holistic development. It's a direct implementation where we have more than 400 plus employees with HCL Foundation role. They are there, stationed there, and they are running these projects on education, health, environment, livelihood. It's a holistic kind of development. And then we have urban programs, HCL Uday, which works on the urban community development for the people who are below poverty line. And then Clean Noida, which is working towards solid waste management, efficient and effective solid waste management in and around Noida city. If you see our environmental action also, HCL Harit, we have our initiatives on the environmental factors which we are running it in and around places where HCL has presence. In India, we are present in 12 cities where all these projects are active. And then we have special initiatives called Power of One. Power of One is an initiative where employees give back to the society, either in form of money like 1 rupee, 2 rupee or 5 rupees, or they volunteer with us for our programs. Then we have Sports for Change, where we support the underprivileged students to come up and participate in national or state level. We prepare them for these sports programs, and they are enrolled as our beneficiaries. Then we have HCL Foundation Academy. That's a learning platform. So everyone, I know we have Mr. Nikhil Pant with us, who is taking care of the HCL Foundation Academy. And Nikhil Pant is also one of the, person who formulated the CSR law and is running the CSR law and its applied aspects through HCL Foundation Academy. And we have some students also today with us. So that is one learning platform where NGOs, corporates, they connect, and it's an online learning platform. Then we have My Heart, where under skills and livelihood, we are running this online platform where the products which are made from the artisans, we are selling it through our online platform. And then I've already mentioned our thematic focus. And now we have a small video of our HCL Foundation as full overview of whatever I've just mentioned. So you can see it through our video also.
HCL Foundation was established in 2011 to bring positive impact in the lives of underserved communities in urban and rural India. HCL Foundation works in the areas of education, health and hygiene, water, sanitation, early childhood care and development, livelihood, environment, and disaster risk reduction. To bring its vision to life, HCL Foundation has brought like-minded stakeholders together. Today, government authorities, corporations, civil society organizations, NGO partners and HCLTech volunteers collaborate under one umbrella in a robust convergence model to achieve our common goal.
HCL Foundation is a story of scale and depth. Over last 10 years, while we scaled immensely across the country, more than 20 states, we also took our programs to a very different depth. HCL Foundation has highly qualified professionals as its team members who represent the development sector. They come on board and they showcase what passion means. Results of our work on water, results of our work on afforestation, they're all stories within themselves from where we can learn and we can scale them up.
HCL Foundation has transformed millions of lives through its flagship programs like Samuday, Uday, Harit, Clean Noida, and HCLTech Grant, and special initiatives like Power of One, HCL Foundation Academy, My eHeart, and Sports for Change. This partnership journey that began with just 25 members today is a proud family of more than 200 partners.
Now, the CSR agenda of HCLTech is also spreading its wings globally. We are starting heavily in Americas, we are taking shape in Europe as well as APAC region. There are miles to go and we have a lot of work to be done before we call it success.
So that was a quick one about the HCL Foundation. Robin, do we have another video to be played? All right.
Okay, so as I mentioned that this was one video which we wanted to show you the journey of a legend like Mr. Shiv Nadar who started HCLTech, how he as a philanthropist, how he as a great leader flourished in this entire IT industry and made HCLTech what it is today. So a small glimpse on that.
Hi Shiv, congratulations on getting the Lifetime Achievement Award. You richly deserve it. I remember you starting Microcomp way back in 1975 and then building it to HCL and then making it one of the behemoths in the IT world. And then you started to give away all your wealth to education and social causes. For all of these, you do need to be awarded more than this Lifetime Achievement Award. The Padma Bhushan was the beginning. I hope there's many more to come. Congratulations, and I hope to see you again soon.
Shiv, congratulations on the US ISPF Lifetime Achievement Award. I can't think of anyone more deserving of the award. You have advanced the field of IT to such a great extent. You've advanced the field of US-India relationships. And it's an absolute honor to be able to talk to you and congratulate you on your achievement today.
Shiv, it's hard to believe. We've known each other for 25 years. We were both teenagers when we first met. You made such a difference, both with your company and what you've accomplished there, but also what you've done for society and technology and the US-India commercial ties. It's my way of saying thank you for changing the world and what is the most important strategic relationship in the world between any two countries. Congratulations on the Lifetime Achievement. Very proud to be your friend, my friend.
All right, so that's the story
Congratulations, Shiv,
of
for achieving the
ambition, determination, and integrity. So we can have a round of applause for the legend, Mr. Shiv Nadar himself. And we are just trying to continue his legacy. Thank you, Robin, for setting the context for the day and giving us the overview about the foundation. So without further ado, I will move to the next session, which is, I'm sure you all must have gone through the agenda for the day. So the next session is on Masterclass on CSR laws and its new amendments, as many of you must be aware and keeping yourselves apprised about the latest amendments which had happened lately under the ambit of corporate social responsibility. And it's a privilege to have with us today Mr. Nikhil Pant, Chief Executive Officer at RICHA, former Chief Program Executive, National Foundation for CSR, IICA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India, and a Senior Advisor with HCL Foundation. Mr. Pant, I would now like to request you to kindly take the session on CSR laws and its new amendments. So over to you, Mr. Pant. Can we have a round of applause for Mr. Nikhil Pant? Yeah, do we have a cordless mic or just a hand mic? So meanwhile the mic is coming, I'll, just on a lighter note, now that Mr. Pant is running in his 50s, and sorry for revealing your age, but he has been, very instrumental in the journey of HCL Grant. Since last 8 editions, we have been traveling, the length and breadth of the country, covering some of the remotest parts of the nation. And Mr. Nikhil has been a key pillar, I would again say, for HCL Grant. So sorry for again revealing your age. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Anuj. I hope I am audible. Should be. This is off now. This one is off. Achha, and how much time do I have, Anuj? Just 1 hour? Yes. 45, 1 hour? So good. So this is 1 hour where we will take you through some important aspects which covers the G20 presidency of India, a little bit about sustainable development goals and about CSR. So before I start, I would like to ask a question. How many of you NGOs want funding? How many of you want funds to run the show? Do you want funds? You don't want funds. Do you know the CSR law? Yes or no? Again, very Robin, they have this online portal, which also is there as a link in this presentation, we have put up all the government circulars, all the government notifications on the Symposium website. We will give you the link. You can go there and you can download the material. That you can do only once you register with HCL Grant. If you are able to register and then if you apply for HCL Grant through the concept note, we run a CSR course and we have two students here who will also maybe speak about it. If you submit the concept note later on HCL Grant, Robin, I'm re-emphasizing this, the submission of the concept note, we will give you preferential admission to our next batch, which is starting in 3 months' time. It is free course by HCL Academy, 3 months, and you will know A to Z about CSR, how to run your organizations, your governance, your board of an NGO, resolutions, how to approach a funder, how to do project management, accounting, audit, taxation, everything you will come to know. But that you will get some preference because for every seat that we have, there are 10 applications coming in. So if you apply for HCL Grant with a concept note, and Shelley and Robin will further explain, we will give you preferential admission and enrollment for our next batch. So let me start with this. If you see the title, in this presentation, let me just see the time once again. There's no wall clock out here, no? Okay, 10:32. So I have got time till 11:30, Shelley? Because I would like to take some questions also, okay? And who will move the slides? I don't have a pointer that way? Okay, fine, doesn't matter. So can I move around a little bit? Huh? I hope if I move around, is there going to be an echo or can I move around? Can you hear me still? Okay, very good. So we will try and create an understanding between G20. Do you have paper and pen? This is my classroom. I'm going to tighten you people if you don't write after your breakfast. Your energies should be up. Take out your pads, your pens, and you have to be writing. We will try and combine G20 with Sustainable Development Goals with CSR. Okay? And we are here because of CSR of one company called HCLTech. And the CSR arm is HCL Foundation. Do you know how many companies qualify for CSR in India? Anybody raise your hand? How many companies qualify to do CSR every year? Any guesses? Hundreds. 3,000. How much? 10 lakhs. Then we'll have so much more money for us. More than 900. So, okay, let me tell you, there are 20,000 to 25,000 companies, make a note of it, which qualify for CSR. Okay, Shelley, can we go to the next slide? Yes, so just halt it back, go back. The CSR law has progressed. The conversations began as early as 2007, and the CSR law was enacted in 2013, and it became applicable from, please write down the date, 1st April 2014. 1st April 2014, the CSR law became applicable. Under which, over the last, this is the 10th year. Today we are 1 decade old. We are in the 10th year today. All of you NGOs can benefit from CSR funding under the law. But we need to understand what this law is all about. So initially I will talk about the G20 and how at this point of G20's presidency, what is the great importance of CSR for India? We need to understand that. Go to the next slide, Shelley. Now, what is happening globally after COVID? Are we not seeing a global slowdown in economies? Are we not seeing job layoffs across the world? Yes or no? A lot of people are losing jobs. Every day you're hearing Microsoft laying off, Amazon, I think yesterday I was hearing hundreds and thousands of jobs getting laid off. I heard Elon Musk the other day, laying off many people from Tesla. So, because of COVID and afterwards, there is a global slowdown in the economy. Jobs are being lost, and parallelly what is happening? can we see climate change adversely affecting us? So whereas there is a global slowdown in economy, there is a heightened risk on climate front. Both are going together. What are the two things? Please make a note. Global growth challenges, the economic slowdown, and second is the climatic issues. We are in grave danger. Now, if I try to do very, very strong economic activity, I am likely to release more carbon dioxide, which is again going to cause more climate change, negative climate change. So, isn't this a very difficult, tricky situation? This is, under this situation, India has become the president of G20. And if you see the theme, it talks about one earth, one family, one future, which is in Sanskrit called Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Vasudeva Kutumbakam means that the whole world is a family. So whatever we do today in Kerala or in South India or in India is not only going to have impact in our areas but globally also. I hope some students are also here, Father. Any students attending? Are they here, some students? I want students to participate in this, please, because students, this is where your careers are going to come in. Your future careers are in this area. You should be aware. So please be very, very alert. Next slide. Now, under the G20 presidency, India has identified some priority areas. One of them is called green development. Now, what is green development? Can anybody tell me what is green development? What is green development? Anybody? And can we have some mics also in the audience? Yes. Anybody? What is green development? Environmentally sustainable development. Yes, that is very true. Anybody else on this side?
Agricultural.
Huh?
Agricultural. Agricultural.
Energy?
Agricultural.
Maybe there is too much of echo, I can't understand. Can any... Energy conservation. Agriculture. Agriculture. Okay, all right. Anybody else? Maybe I need to come down. There's a bit of echo in the audience or in the hall. Are you all able to hear properly? Huh? So should I go up or can I keep? I can be here also. Huh? Okay, good. So green development means that we should develop, but not at the expense of environment. We should therefore have sustainable development or eco-friendly development. How many students are here from Loyola? Can they raise their hands? Loyola students? Where are Loyola students? Where are your paper and pen? Are you just sitting like this? No, make some notes. I'm going to ask you questions. Okay, now, second is accelerating the progress of SDGs. I put them in red color, the important ones. These are the priorities of the G20 today. Third is, if you see the third red, women-led development. How many women leaders are here? How many women are here? Can they raise their hands? How many of you are seniors in NGOs? Program managers, senior managers, or founders of NGOs? Let me tell you with great confidence, if you understand the enormity of this opportunity, you can be the game changer, you can be the leader for the future. You have that opportunity, and the G20 presidency is emphasizing that. And they want, India says, if you see the second red, in leading positions, we keep saying that, you should have a school where more girls should take part. You should have a job center, training center where more girls should take part. But here we are saying, you should have NGOs where more women should be leaders. Talking about women, not just as beneficiaries, but creators of the benefit. Isn't that a very, very significantly different situation? That is what G20 is saying. We go to the next slide. Now, this is where CSR comes in. 10 years ago, when the law was made, government gave corporate India for the first time an opportunity to participate in development 10 years ago when the CSR law was made. Now 10 years have elapsed. Corporates are actively participating with government and civil society, and that's why HCL Foundation is here today. We are partnering Loyola College today for this session as part of CSR of HCLTech. 10 years have now gone, and now in the 10th year, we are finding another great opportunity where CSR can help all of us deal with this crisis which I just mentioned. And what is that crisis? Global slowdown and climate crisis. Global slowdown, climate crisis. Can you NGOs now prepare project proposals which are aligning with this challenge? That when you submit a project proposal to HCL for funding or to anybody as a donor, look at development but also conservation. Development plus conservation, which is I'm calling green growth CSR. I'm calling it green growth CSR. If you make more project proposals like this, your chances of getting funding will become better, because more and more corporates would want to fund NGOs who are responsible NGOs. Tell me yes or no. Will that make sense or no? That is a very crucial thing, and this is why I am calling it that CSR of today. We are in the middle of the decade of action. The decade of action is the decade from 2020 to 2030 is called decade of action. Make a note of that. It's called decade of action, where in 2030 the sustainable development goals should be reached. But unfortunately, around the middle, we are in 23, 24, because of COVID, everything has gone down the hill. Yes, right? While we have survived, many have perished, many people have passed away, many of our close relatives, friends, relatives have passed away because of COVID. But economies have been devastated like never before, at least last 100 years, because this had not happened. We keep having recessions and slowdowns, but COVID-induced slowdown and recession and economic challenges are a very different ball game. Therefore, CSR has a great opportunity to become a game changer again today. And you NGOs have a wonderful opportunity, and the faculty members. How many faculty members are here from Loyola College? Can the faculties please raise their hand? Sirs and ma'ams and fathers and sisters, whatever. This is a great opportunity for you to teach this to the students, that this is the challenge. Your theory and your syllabus and your exam is fine, but the real exam of life is this. If you pass out, you don't get a job, what is the point? Do you think you should get jobs after passing out? Yes or no? Yes or no? Therefore, we need to understand this. So both for NGOs who are here as well as the faculty and the students who are here, we have to understand this and also realize and understand that CSR is giving us an amazing opportunity. So in this next few 15-20 minutes, I'm going to talk a little bit about CSR. We'll go to the next slide. Now the pictures are not visible, but the presentation you will get when you go to the website. Let me explain it to you. What is the CSR law? Can anybody tell me what is the CSR law? Very few raised their hands, and maybe some of you are shy. I will quickly brief you about the law. The CSR law says, it is called Section 135 Companies Act. Section 135 Companies Act. Please write it down. Section 135 Companies Act 2013. The law says that if you are a company registered in India with a turnover of 1,000 crore or more, or a net worth of rupees 500 crore or more, or a net profit of 5 crore or more in any preceding financial year. So which financial year are we in right now? Financial year 23-24. Which is the preceding financial year? 22-23. If in the previous financial year you qualified in any of these three, then you have to do CSR and you have to put 2% of your average net profit. That's the second box over there. This defines the budget, 2%, made during the immediately 3 preceding. So there's a mathematical formula. You have to find out your budget. HCLTech would have also done that. Other 20,000 companies will also do that. And your board will decide through a CSR committee of the board. There is a CSR committee of the board which will decide how this money should be spent. And suppose this budget is 100 rupees. Then this committee, comprising of 3 or more directors with 1 independent director, its composition has to be disclosed on the company's website. The policy should include activities and monies. What can be done by the company and what is the money to be spent. This is part of the CSR policy. It will also be good, Shelley, that in the docket that we put up, we will also put up HCL CSR policy there. You all should know HCLTech CSR policy. How many of you have read the HCLTech CSR policy? I don't think even one person will raise their hand. And how many of you want funds from HCL? How many want funds from HCL Foundation? Who have come here for funding, tell me. How many want to ask for funds from Shelley and Robin in the afternoon session? Please raise your hand. Don't feel shy. So, let me tell you, my dear friends, HCL cannot give you even 1 rupee if you don't read the CSR policy of HCL. Why are you not reading it? Why? You're watching Netflix all the time, or what are you doing? IPL, Facebook and Instagram. Why are we not reading? We have to do that. Now, this committee will prepare all of this, then the board of the company will approve the policy and then publish it. It has to ensure that it will be implemented. Now, we are here because HCLTech CSR policy says to do a program called HCL Grant. We are here for HCL Grant. The policy says do HCL Grant. And to do HCL Grant, we must meet NGOs like you. But we want to meet NGOs who know CSR. And since many NGOs don't know CSR, we are trying to train you also, to capacity build you, to give you the right information so that you can read it. And the faculty here, please share these documents with all your students. They should know about the law, okay? And it must be also put on the director's report. Any amount, the money spent has to be audited by the chartered accountant also under CSR with proper UDIN number. There is something called fund utilization certificate. That is required, okay? And any money which is not spent at the end of the year, suppose the budget is 100 rupees and they can't spend 10 rupees. They must give reasons. But now under the new amendment, this 10 rupees also has to be spent either through an ongoing project which is continuing for 3 more years, or that money has to be given to a government fund like PM CARE, Prime Minister's Relief Fund, Clean Ganga Fund, Swachh Bharat Kosh, etc. So every rupee has to be spent. So can you imagine if corporates have a pressure to spend, then NGOs should know how to take the money. Why are you not reading the law? Read the law, understand it, make correct proposals, you will get the money. 100% you will get the money, not just with HCL. There are so many corporates. HCL is just one of them. But maybe HCL is the only one which is coming forward to do this training through symposiums like this. We want you to learn this. Next slide, Shelley. So this is a very important slide. How many of you are 1860 societies over here? Raise your hand. 1860 society, raise your hand. I run an NGO, I am raising my hand. I am 1860, I run an NGO myself. How many of you are Section 8 companies? Section 8 companies. How many of you are trusts? So many more trusts are here. How many of you don't know what you are? I hope none of you are like that. I hope so. I'm praying to God. Otherwise, even God cannot help you. Fine. So you need to be any one of these to get CSR money. Now, there are 4 categories. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can be the foundation of a company like HCL Foundation is. Okay? You can get funds. You need to have form CSR 1, that is a particular form. How many of you have form CSR 1? Please raise your hand. I hope all of you have form CSR 1. Otherwise, you can't get CSR funds. You have to have 12A and 80G. How many of you have 12A and 80G? Did you renew it last 2 years? Within the last 2 years, how many renewed it? Just do your hand like this. Flicker, flicker, flicker. Okay, good. Okay, thank God. Now, most of you are this category. NGO, you need to be 3 years old. Are you 3 years old? Yes or no? Do this if you are 3 years old. Good, this is good. You have to have these red ones. Central or state government NGOs are also permitted. Now, Loyola College, you might be having 1023C. Which registrations do you have, sir, father? Huh? You have, eh? Very good. So there are government NGOs, state government and central government. It's a little ironic because what is a government NGO? Because NGO means non-government organization. So it's a very ironic thing to be a government, non-government organization, but there are. So I was in an institute called IICA, Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs. That's a central government NGO. That can get CSR money. But it has to have form CSR 1. It need not have these. It need not have this. Not required. But this is required everywhere. And these are called activities route because these are through projects. These are through projects. What is a project? Starting date, ending date. Starting date, ending date with a budget, with clear deliverables. Those are called projects. A blood donation camp is not a project. You can't do that in CSR. But you can have a blood donation camp as part of a larger project, as part of a larger health project maybe. Then you have other state government NGOs like Goa CSR Authority, Gujarat CSR Authority. There would be some in Kerala also. Can anybody name in Kerala any state government NGO? Yes or no? Do some research and tell me before lunchtime today. We will give you one extra sweet dish. Think about it. One more Kerala state government NGO. I read 5 NGOs in the next to my hotel yesterday, and I am walking and I am reading state government NGOs. I asked one of them, do you know CSR? He said, sir, I don't know CSR. So I keep doing my research. So please find out and tell me what are the Kerala government NGOs. Now this is Parliament or state legislature set up entities which are permitted to do CSR. How many chartered accountants here? Any chartered accountants? Do you all have chartered accountants for your NGOs? Yes or no? Raise your hands. Are you getting your NGOs audited by the CAs or not? Okay, good. So which is the controlling organization of chartered accountants? It's called ICAI. Are you aware of that? Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. That's an entity set up by Parliament. It can get CSR money. Company Secretary also, Institute of Company Secretary of India, can get CSR money. So these are very, very important. Okay. Then there are 2 other routes. PM CARES, PM Relief Fund, Central Government Fund, Swachh Bharat Kosh, Clean Ganga Fund. These are all contributions. These are activities, means projects. These are white ones are contributions, means mere donations. These are restricted grants. These are called restricted grants. It means if I give you grant, I need a deliverable. These are unrestricted donations. These are donations which are unrestricted. You give money to PM Cares, you cannot tell the Prime Minister what to do with it. The PM Cares Trust will decide. Very important to understand. Okay? Next. These are the permitted activities in CSR. You are allowed to do activities to manage hunger issues, education, gender equality matters, etc., environmental sustainability, heritage, art and culture, etc. Next one. Armed forces, sports, the PM Care funds, etc., various funds. The ninth one is contribution to incubators. Do you have an incubator at Loyola? Do you have an incubator? You have. Is it applicable? Is it eligible for CSR? But you can get funds. And you can also contribute. See, again, wherever it is contribution, it is unrestricted. It means you give, but you can't ask too much. Okay? Then for rural development projects and then slum area development. So these are the permitted activities. All right, we go to the next slide. I think I've reached my halfway mark and I'll give it a halt for 2 minutes and I'll move around the crowd because we will now go to the next part of the CSR amendments. Any questions so far? I'll take 5 minutes of questions. Any questions, please raise your hands. Any questions on CSR, on G20, on how and why we are linking up G20, SDGs and CSR? Any questions, any thoughts coming in your minds concerning your NGO, concerning anything that is bothering you about CSR or how to go about fundraising? Yes, ma'am.
Shall I sit?
Yes, please, ma'am.
Okay.
Which organization?
Yeah, I represent 2 organizations here. One is Women Empowerment and Human Resource Development Center of India. That is an international NGO having special consultative status with the UN. Yeah, you said sustainable development goals here. I represent 10 times, 2010 to 2019 to United Nations, participate in Global Conference of Women, especially to sustainable development goals. And regarding another thing is All India Women's Conference, that is a pan-women Indian organization. I am one of the office bearers there. Again, I would like to come back to HCL policy as well as CSR policy. Definitely, being the head of the organization, I am not claiming that I know everything, but little bit I know about 2% everything. And already we have applied it to HCL grant 2-3 years back also. But I would like to tell you one thing. Applying or knowing and applying for grant is different. Actually, you NGO may be knowing how to apply everything. Only thing is, now we know the policies. The problem is the projects. Once the project development and applying is different because that process is very, very difficult for a normal NGO. I think it would be better.
Absolutely.
It would be better you speak about it a little more.
How many of you agree with ma'am that project proposal writing is very difficult? How many of you? Please raise your hand. I need proper raising of hands. Very good question, ma'am. And 1 minute. While I'll give you some part of the answer, Robin and Shelley will take you a detailed way of, again, Robin, what we've been discussing, the challenge of project report for HCL grant.
No, so ma'am, what you raised that, in our upcoming sessions, what, we will be taking, we'll give you some tips. We can't take you to the entire process of project proposal writing, but we will give you some standard, tips which will help you in devising the proposal. Basically, what is, from the funder's angle, like what we look for in a proposal from the HCLTech perspective, and Nikhil is already covering from other aspects as well.
So, ma'am, before you continue, the way we develop this agenda for the day is, I give the perspective on the law, on the larger issues and also how to deal compliances for all the companies who qualify. Now, Robin and team come up with the grant and the challenges. But your question is a very valid question. Eventually, the NGO has to develop that capacity, and that is not an easy thing. Yes.
Yes, you said is absolutely right. But I would like to share with you certain problems I faced many occasions, because project writing is not a problem, but that differs in different organizations, different ways. If you can explain with your format to the NGOs here, that
Yes.
would be better.
They will do that. They will do that.
Because the same thing we have to write again and again with a little bit difference. So we have taken 5 days or 10 days to we prepared the project, but fill it into the format. It will take 2 weeks, 1 week, something like that. There itself is.
No, ma'am, you are 200% correct. I have been also.
Yes.
She knows it also. That's why we will do our
Thank
best.
you, thank you.
And you've hit the nail on the head.
And we will not only cover what you should write, we will also cover what you do mistakes also, where we see the mistakes, where NGOs are actually, not connecting their proposal. We'll tell you in the upcoming sessions.
Thank you so much. Very good question. Any more questions? Yes, ma'am. Which organization?
Yeah, I'm Sangeeta and I'm from Northeast Pet Sanctuary. We are into animal welfare. So,
Northeast?
Naughty, N-A-U-G-H-T-Y.
Achha, okay.
Northeast Pet Sanctuary.
Achha, okay.
Yeah, we work for stray dogs, stray cats and slaughter cows, cows and bulls from the slaughter. No, I agree with ma'am's point. Many a times I didn't write and left it, even though I know that I'm sure I get money from there. But the point is, even though if you give the brief of how to write it, is there any particular agency or specialized people who can help us?
So, I'm facing this challenge with my own NGO. I'm telling you, if it was so easy, then so easily every NGO will get money then. There is some degree of difficulty. I keep saying also to everybody, CSR is like saline water. Lot of water, no water to drink unless you remove the salt.
No, I'll tell you, ma'am, this is one thing.
Robin, 1 minute, just let me complete. Yeah. So we have a CSR course also that we conduct, and we told you this. You should submit the concept paper. We will give you preferential treatment there. You will have to go through a longer training also. Specific to this, Robin will tell you. But from my side as a course director, I'm saying that if you make the effort, if you show the courage to register, and concept note is not difficult. DPR is difficult. Difficult means requires more action. We will also give you that opportunity because that 3-month course explains everything in great detail. But for this particular thing, Robin will tell you.
Yeah, so this is one thing I need everyone's attention, which I wanted to cover during our session also. So what is happening nowadays in the websites, you will see there are some consultants or there are some people who have advertised, give us 4,000 rupees per proposal and we'll make sure that the grant comes to you. Give us 10,000 rupees, give us 50,000 rupees. Please don't fall prey to them. There is nothing like that. I am standing here representing HCL Foundation as a funder, as a donor, and we see my team, Shelly, Anuj, we see thousands of proposals coming to us every year. And we never take a single recommendation. We don't see how good English you have written. We don't see how well you have, the way of presentation. We don't see that. We see 4-5 points. Okay, this is my problem statement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are my activities. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is the impact we are going to create. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. We don't see how well English you have written. Ma'am, if you have that, that confidence you will have to have. Yes, the points, that's it. And I can assure you, there is no agencies who can approach us on behalf of you and give your proposal to us. We don't allow that. And HCL Grant is not responsible if any such agency takes money from you and they guarantee you that they will get you the fund. Please don't fall prey.
I think what we need to also tell ma'am and the others here, I will speak from an NGO perspective and I'll tell you what. If I'm the leader of the NGO, I have to burn the midnight oil. I have to do it, ma'am. There is no shortcut to it. Often what happens is I'm not having time, and I sit with my teams. I first understand the RFP. I prepare the note myself. I then delegate work. So when you do it yourself, I will say it is like rearing your own child and not giving it to a maid. Rearing your own child is like developing your own project proposal. It is not easy, but it is doable.
As you said that you will explain the things. I'm happy that you're organizing something like this, because I've been looking forward to attend something like this, and today I just walked in. I never knew what it is actually. I just walked in to say, let me go and see what is happening here. That is precisely I said. I can vouch and say that we are one of the best animal welfare in Trivandrum, with the best shelters, with the best life for the stray animals what we give. But then, as you rightly said, how to put it forward on paper matters a lot when you go to a corporate actually.
Again, as I keep telling you, invariably most of the NGOs are set up by very passionate people. Learned, or sometimes, most often learned also, some maybe not very learned, but very ground knowledge wala. The founder or the key leadership has to take the larger ownership. I have learned from my own experience, and this is a 30 years experience I'm having of my own NGO. It is the most difficult thing, and I'm submitting 20 proposals, all getting rejected also. This also will happen. But please learn from every effort, then you will convert one. The moment you convert one, the confidence goes up. Yes, that is how it happens.
Hi sir, I'm Biju Simon representing Either India. I'm the founder of the organization. It is especially working with the transforming the lives of children, especially the marginal sections.
Right.
So my question, in 2020, I have applied for HCL grant, and I got a message that they are happy with my project, but one of the eligibility criteria, that is 10 years for the education part, we didn't completed. I'm coming to that. So I'm happy that anyway you are happy with my projects. So we are applying for many projects in India, especially in Trivandrum and Technopark also. My question is, government department, they are taking April to March is the financial year, and some companies are taking Jan to December. So how can we know that the companies?
That's a very good question. If you read the new, it's no longer a new companies law. If you read the Companies Act 2013, it has told companies to synchronize with the way the Indian government works. Because when it goes from January to December, there is confusion. And most of the vice companies, a lot of global companies have synchronized now. I'll give you one example, IBM. IBM used to go from January to December. In 3 years' time after the law, they switched from April to March because it is difficult. So invariably, you have to request your corporates, please do this, otherwise we are finding it difficult. That is the only way. And I think the new compliances that come in, which I'm going to speak about now from 2021, you will end up in a situation where you have unspent money lying with you on 31st March, which is yours, but it is the first quarter for them. So there has to be a synchronization. There is no other way. Okay.
Excuse me. So you mentioned as an incubator. We have been an incubator. So you already put it on the 3 different sectors: education, environmental, health. So we are a SDG-based incubator. We are focusing on the SDGs main core area. So what are the parameters you have been taking from our?
For HCL grant?
So
that Robin will tell in the next session. So the next session will be on HCL grant. So this particular session, please do not ask me questions specific to HCL grant. Ask me questions on the CSR law and what I have been speaking about. Yes, ma'am, you're going to speak?
My question is I'm Shreya from Palem India. We've applied for HCL grant many times. So I want to talk about CSR foundations like HCL, and we work with CIPLA Foundation and others. They have projects for 2 to 3 years, right? They're kind enough to give us that time. But most of the other CSR companies will only give you 1 year. And by the time you apply for the next year funding, the money comes by first quarter is already over. All this delay happens. Why do you think companies are opting for 1 year projects? They want to stay safe? Or
very, very good question, ma'am. Let me tell you this. The standard situation that I'm observing in the market, we are now starting June. We are the last month of quarter 1. I know for sure that most NGOs are struggling at this point because the grants for this year are yet to come in. Yes or no? So what is happening is that even if it is synchronizing from April to March, the funding comes in not before July. So you are getting effectively 9 months to do 12 months job, right? So all NGOs have to keep one thing in mind. While it has to be dealt with the corporates, if you ask me, then they should be prepared on the 4th quarter with the next year's budget and the rollouts, and they should release the money in April itself. But most of them are doing it in an unplanned manner. They also have a challenge because their monies also are not coming in from their business. Now the monies are not coming in from their business because maybe the clients are not paying the company. It's like a vicious cycle. So what is the moral of the story for the NGO? Have a cash flow of 10% of your turnover with you as cash flow. If you're working on 1 crore annual turnover, have 10 lakhs with you so that in the first quarter when the monies are yet to come, your shop keeps running. And then when the monies come in, the project will be from April to March. There is a reimbursement for the 3 months which is happening. That is the safest way. Now you will say, where will I get this money? Well, you have to do some crowdfunding, get for some donations, go to some other high net worth individuals. It is not easy, but that is the way it is. It is not easy. Okay?
But NGOs should also understand, this delay of funds happens because of the non-submission of some of the documents also, which CSR Foundation asks. This is not the documents which as companies we are asking. It is from the ministry. We've been asked that, your CS certificate. CS certificate is a one document which takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is one thing which you have to make sure that you make sure all your documents, whatever quarterly reports, quarterly documents you have to submit to the donor, you are submitting it on time.
So very relevant point Robin is saying, you have to be ahead of the curve. As a leader, as a senior person in an organization, know your required submissions. Because he can't release even if he has money. That's what he's saying. I said he may not have money also because that is also happening. Some are not planned properly, but invariably I'm finding a lot of NGOs are not doing that also. I'm saying in general I'm saying. So there are, various reasons so even I do that on time. But since my donors are taking time, then I need to be street smart. I need to have cash flow with me because money will come. Right? Yeah.
So my name is Vishal T. George. I'm the fund manager for Sri Chitra Institute of Medical Science and Technology. We are a technology business incubator. So we have applied for HCL Symposium.
Next time, HCL Grant.
My concern is, since we are a technology business incubator, we will be submitting proposals either as contributions to TBI or for the startups which we are supporting. The startups might be working in different areas.
So I'll give you an example. I was at IIM Bangalore the other day. They have an incubator called NSRCEL, very famous if you are aware. Now they have projects funded by big corporates. And suppose there is one corporate which has given them 10 crores for 3 years, ongoing project. And through that 10 crores, they are incubating 10 entities. 5 of them are NGOs and 5 are for-profits. So you are an incubator. Correct. You can get funds from CSR and then you can incubate organizations.
So my point was actually I have submitted application twice. Both the times it was rejected. My suggestion is...
To whom did you submit? HCL Grant?
HCL Grant.
So that Robin will answer
yes,
next session.
And the point is, when your application is being rejected, if you get a reason, because I am eligible, I am having all the eligible...
I'll explain you why.
He will deal with.
I'll explain you that question. This is a very valid question and I'll answer that. And please keep that question when I take the session.
He has created some categories of reasons which he will share. Because he can't maybe reply to everyone, but he has categories of reasons, right, Robin?
And why we are not doing it individually, that also I'll explain you. That will help you in, applying again, and we can give you the feedback. But that can be only one-on-one.
And again, it's a very, very important question. If I don't know what happened, how do I improve? He will guide you. Anybody else? Because I'll quickly complete my presentation.
One of the companies has told us that...
Sure. Me out. Give me just quickly 5 minutes to complete this because 11:30 I have time, na Shaili? Okay, so this is 3.0, CSR 3.0 is what I'm saying is, see the law came in April 2014. Then lot of data was submitted as reports by corporates, and there was a high-level committee of Government of India which figured out what was happening. And then they made some amendments in January 2021. How many of you have read the amendments of January 2021? Those are very, very important amendments. Make a note, January 2021 amendments in CSR. We have it in the docket that you can download. I will show you the link where you can go and download. Okay? That is the time when I'm calling it CSR 2.0, when a large number of amendments were there, which changed the way CSR is being done now. They have made it mandatory to spend the money. If 100 rupees has to be spent, the corporate has to spend it, either by itself through its NGOs, or they have to give it to the government. Otherwise, there's a big penalty. Just 2 weeks ago, there is a penalty of 92 lakh rupees on one corporate, which could not spend or maybe pass on to the unspent account 42 lakhs. So the penalty is the money that you defaulted multiplied by 2. So they defaulted by 42 lakhs, the penalty is 94 lakhs, up to a maximum of 1 crores. This is called section 135(7) on penalties. Now CSR 3.0 is where I'm trying to say the bottom red line, if you see, with G20 situation coming in, this is a great opportunity for CSR to further change its approach to fundraising, to project development, because of the global crisis of the slowdown and the climate change. Corporates are being asked, ESG, you must have heard about ESG. A lot of ESG thing is happening. If you develop project proposals now, which align with growth and conservation, you may have better chances to convert. This is what is CSR 3.0 I am saying. And go to the next one. Very quickly, I have summed up some important points for corporates to keep in mind. If you are a corporate, you must make sure that your CFO, Chief Finance Officer, your head CSR, your chartered accountant and your company secretary should sit together every 3 months. Because CFO will give you the money and validate the spending. The head CSR will spend the money. The CA will audit the spending, and the company secretary will submit the report. All 4 must sit together. The board has to become very transparent and very accountable under this new regime of amendments. There is an annual action plan which has to be made, an annual action plan. So make sure that the annual action plan is known to you as an NGO. Because these are for the corporate, you should be aware. Also, what is important is that impact assessment has now become mandatory for bigger projects. If you have a project 1 crore or more rupees outlay, then there will be impact assessment. So make sure that right from the beginning, you are well prepared for the work that you will deliver. We go to the next one. Now, these are the important points for the NGOs to remember. The first point is what I've been saying to everyone here. NGO leader has to be aware about this whole game. You cannot say, I am not sure what's happening. Then your team has no idea. Let me be very, very clear. As it is in NGOs, human resource is a problem. You find it very difficult to get the right kind of human resource. And if you as an NGO leader are in slumbering, you are sleeping, then I don't see much future for you then. If you're alert and aware, you can win the game, you can be in the game, you can drive the game. And when I say the game, it means CSR 3.0, which means fundraising, which means good project development, which means good implementation, which means good outcome and impact, which means more projects. It's a cycle. Fundraising, surest way is do good impact, good compliance, funds will come to you. The donor is now mandated to spend the money. There is no way out. Here you must be aware about 1 + 3 years, which I said, 12A ATG we have spoken. I hope Form 10 BD you all are filling up. Form 10 BD, which is on ATG grant, all of you should be aware of that. Okay? And last point over there is that if you are not aware, then your funders will go away from you. I'm sorry to say. If you are very shaky, then the funder will say goodbye. You just cannot be good in your work. You have to be good in your work and good in compliance also. Then the donor feels secure. We go to the next slide. Now this is a very detailed Excel sheet that you can read and download. It gives you how cost sheet should be made. There is 5% for admin overheads and there is 95% for project delivery. Now within the 5%, this is 5% is for corporates, not for NGOs. And within the 95%, you have funds available for designing, for implementing, and for monitoring and evaluation of projects. So what I've done is, by mapping the law, I have made these columns in such a way that you can exactly understand how the corporate wants you to make the line items in the cost sheet. So this is the 5% admin overheads. You can do board level work, annual action plans, strategy, CSR policy, legal compliances, etc. B is the impact assessment, 2% if it is applicable to you. Then there is actual spending on CSR, which could be 93% or 95% if there is no impact assessment required, which includes designing of CSR projects, which includes need assessment, RFPs, MOUs, theory of change, model of intervention, blah, blah, blah. It includes implementation. Most of you NGOs are in this orange part. Implementation means all the activities route, which includes all of the works that you can do in delivering projects. It also includes contributions to funds via the contributions route. All of this is part of implementation. Then M&E also, you can bill your cost. All of this can add up to 95% of the CSR budget of a corporate. 5% the corporate can keep for itself. Very important sheet. Please, when you download this from the docket, you should understand, you will get a sense of it. Go to the next one. We've already discussed this. Next. Please make a note of this. This is the one. Just make a note of this link. hclfoundation.org/hcl-grant/symposium. Please go there, register first. We are updating the docket by today evening. So download the documents tomorrow. Don't do it today. Can we do it by today evening? I'll just send it to Shelly. She will change, update it, and you can download all the Gazette notifications, the law, the rules, the amendments. We've also put in some information on G20. And we will also put HCLTech CSR policy over there. You must read HCLTech CSR policy. You will understand better as to how they want fundraising to be done. And I think, yeah, go to the next. I think that's over. So thank you all very much. We didn't have too much of time, but still have 6 minutes though to ask any questions. Okay. So we'll take a health break. Now, for 5 minutes, some more questions, Shelly, before we do or are we running late? So you can continue discussing with me. There's a health break now. You want to say something? Over to Rahul.
Thank you, sir. Let's have a huge round of applause for Mr. Pant. The thoroughness with which he explains and takes these sessions, and he always claims that, in fact, he is a teacher. So while he takes these sessions, he wears that hat of teacher. So I hope it was useful for all of you. And kindly make the note of the last link which was shown to you, because many of you were asking where we will get all these notifications and amendments, etc. So that's the place where you will get all the consolidated documents. So let's have a quick health break. There is a tea and coffee served outside, and we will then resume with our panel discussion post the health break. Thank you. 10 minutes health break. Yeah. And as you can see that, and as also Nikhil sir has mentioned, that how are we aligning this year's symposium series with the G20 presidency. So that's the topic, G20 presidency in India. And what's the right time for CSRs to contribute towards the growth and development story? As you all can believe and understand, and I'm sure you all are contributing towards the growth and development of this country. So this panel is going to focus on how CSRs, what is the right time for CSRs to invest, to contribute towards the growth and the development story. And we have some eminent panelists today present with us who are going to deliberate, take questions from you, through their perspective on this particular topic. So I would take this opportunity to firstly invite Mr. Santosh Jairam, whom you all have heard today in the morning, Global Head Sustainability HCLTech. We are joined in by Dr. Jyoti Krishnan, Head Masters in Social Work, Disaster Management Department, Loyola College of Social Sciences. Thank you, Dr. Krishnan, for joining us today. We have Mr. Zuhail Sainuddin, Project Director, Institute of Sustainable Development and Governance. Thank you, Mr. Sainuddin, for joining us for this panel. And I would now like to invite Mr. Nikhil Pant to kindly moderate this session. And please feel free to ask questions. This panel is going to be important because they are going to actually discuss not just what HCL does, but otherwise how the larger fraternity of CSR is going to contribute towards the growth and development of the nation. Over to you, Mr. Pant.
Hello. Shelly, what time? How much time?
So it's 11:50 right now.
12:30?
12:30 should be fine, yeah. Robin, we can give this mic as well. One more mic would be needed.
Hello. Thank you so much, Anuj and Robin and Shelley and the whole team. A very warm welcome to this very esteemed panel. We have Santosh, we have Jyoti, and we have Zuhail. And they all are experts in their domains, as we are aware. We would like to utilize their knowledge and experience and get the nectar out, where we can learn something. Because this entire workshop, this entire symposium is a masterclass, if you ask me. We want each one of you to go back home with something that Jyoti will tell you, or Santosh will tell you, or Zuhail will tell you from their experiences. Now, the topic of this session is, again, G20 presidency of India. It's a very, very momentous opportunity for us to present our work as also take it to the next level. And the topic says, right time for CSR. And this right time, if you saw in my session, I talked about CSR 3.0, where I was trying to say that, can CSR be a game changer once again and help come out of the sluggish SDG achievements because of post-COVID downtrends? And as I've been discussing with the panelists, the larger challenges on the SDG front, can we use this opportunity? And as we also mentioned that we are partnering G20 and Civil 20, all of these feedbacks and conversations will be shared on the national and global platform through hashtags. We want your feedbacks. Please make notes. Please ask relevant questions from our experts panel, and let us make this session a very meaningful session. So let me begin first by Dr. Jyoti. I was reading your profile and the work you're doing in disaster management, etc. And we were also talking about how in today's context, and COVID was a disaster, and we keep seeing different kinds of disasters happening, man-made as well as natural. How would you put the current situation of the G20 presidency aligning with the topic that we said? I just met some of your students also. Can your students please raise their hands? I met some of the girls there. I think they're all your students, ma'am. They just met me during the tea break, and I was just asking them what kind of jobs you will take up after this, and they did mention that there are the various authorities that they will apply and so on and so forth. So keeping this context and the session in mind, the NGOs would like to know how this area of disaster management can be looked at as a way wherein CSR can play an important role to achieve the SDG goals at the opportune moment of India's G20 presidency. We need to amplify this message. I want you to amplify the message in very crystal clear terms so that these NGOs can go back and they may also get some project ideas. See, the goal of this symposium also is to give them some project ideas back. So if you can, and maybe 3 to 5 minutes in the initial, and then we'll take some cross-fertilization questions, and then we'll also open it up to the house. Yes.
Thank you, Nikhil sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be part of this deliberation. I'm very happy to note that one of the CSR objectives, as you said, is disaster risk reduction. Many of you would be knowing that the international framework in place today is the Sendai framework, which focuses on disaster risk reduction. As an academic institution trying to make inroads into the area of disaster management, trying to enhance the resilience of communities, we both very closely engage with coastal communities who face the brunt of climate change and who have to deal with both disasters and livelihoods on a day-to-day basis. So with regard to NGO interventions, I would say that reducing the daily vulnerabilities of people is so critical to reduce their vulnerability to disasters. So if you have chronic poverty in communities, it is 100% sure that that community will be very prone to disasters. So many a time, reducing this daily vulnerability would mean working at the interface of the 3 sectors that have been outlined, which is environment, education, and health. And walking that last mile is something that only civil society organizations can do. We all know that the state frameworks are important, but states have their limitations in walking the last mile. And the last mile, it is the NGO sectors, it is people like you who will work with the communities. So intervening in the area of vulnerability reduction through enhanced access to basic facilities, overcoming structural barriers is what we can do to reduce, one of the things that can reduce disaster vulnerability. And it's so important that non-governmental organizations need to build their capacity in this sector, because disaster management is going to be one of the key sectors in the coming decades, as we all know it. The other thing I would like to say is that you mentioned, sir, about the interface between growth and conservation. And I think disasters are located just there, because a disaster always creates an economic slowdown. Disasters disrupt the economies. At the same time, unplanned economic growth will result in disasters.
Absolutely.
So, for instance, in Kerala, we know that roads are important, but roads in landslide-prone areas is a perfect recipe for landslides in future. So, understanding disasters as lying at the interface between growth and conservation and rethinking our interventions in that regard, I think, would be very critical. As an academic institution, we are very happy to partner with civil society organizations, with non-government organizations, so that we work together in tandem towards this goal. I'll stop here for now and continue.
I think so beautifully presented, Dr. Jyoti, and I would just like to ask you, and as you said, every disaster, leads to a situation like a slowdown. When these NGOs are making their project proposals, can they somehow keep this, can they be mindful about the fact that when they are working, say, in health, education, environment, can disaster management come in as a horizontal, so that whenever they go for their daily work, the processes they follow, the end goals that they try to achieve, somewhere in their mind there is this mindfulness that we should not contribute to man-made disasters, number one. And number two, if a natural disaster were to occur tomorrow when I'm conducting my class, suppose a tsunami wave alert comes in, suppose earthquake, there is no alert for that, but suppose there is some disaster which is not man-made, how to respond, how to have that first mover alert response. Also, can my students, can my beneficiaries become those volunteers in the critical golden hour to go and rescue people? Like in Turkey, what happened? The moment those buildings came down, it was the Indian forces which were one of the first ones. So can these NGOs play an important role? Because I also am part of an NGO, and I know that when I'm making a project proposal, often I'm not thinking like that. I'm thinking, what should I write? Should I get the money? Do you think the time has come, Dr. Jyoti, that if they start thinking on those lines, not only can this increase their potential or probability of converting a project proposal and getting the money, but also saving and contributing to disaster management? Do you think those are areas for them to think into?
Definitely. The whole area of disaster preparedness is something that what you were mentioning right now. the importance of preparedness at the community level. So you need students to work at that level to enhance the preparedness of communities. And two, addition, just adding on to what you were saying, monitoring the recovery from disasters is very important. Very often, NGOs limit themselves to the relief phase, to the distribution of relief, which is much celebrated, especially after big disasters. But we need to move beyond the relief phase. We need to look into both recovery and preparedness. Unless we have effective recovery, we will not have preparedness for the next disaster. So I think that is very critical, and we need to move beyond that, the first 2 weeks after a disaster, which is when the global attention is there.
Absolutely.
And when the attention withdraws, we also withdraw. So
in fact, if you remember, on 1st of May 2021, there was a letter from Amitabh Kant, the former CEO of Niti Aayog, to all civil society NGOs to come forward and help government. It reached out to corporates to please come forward and help the government, because oxygen levels were not available and people were dying by the second. So it is the NGOs like you and us who are the first movers, because we are with the community. So I think thank you so much, Dr. Jyoti, for the initial remarks. And these are very key takeaways from the inputs that you're giving. I now go to Zuhail, who is the project director of the Institute for Sustainable Development, and I see quite an amazing report that Zuhail has shared with me towards disaster risk reduction in Kerala, experiences, perspectives, and way forward. So Zuhail, it conveys to me that with plan you've done this, but again, coming back to the topic of today, and not just maybe limiting ourselves to disaster risk reduction and rehabilitation, etc., but in the larger context, and especially the topic that we have, how can these NGOs who are here, when they go back, they can become more profound and proactive agents of change through CSR to achieve the SDG goals. And as I was mentioning in my presentation, one of the major areas that we are facing in this year 23-24, around midway in the decade of action, is the slackening. There is a grave danger that we may not be able to achieve the goals by 2030 unless we pick up the momentum here. How can we really pump them in, the NGOs who are here, really give them the right ideas from your vast experience, Zuhail?
So thank the organizers for inviting me here. So our organization has been part of this in the aftermath of the Kerala floods. We were involved in disaster response, and after that we were involved in livelihood. So creating livelihood for those displaced and affected by the floods. So to put everything in context, now India is chairing the G20, and one of its priority areas is sustainable development. And climate change and the risks that come with it are now all too evident. While state and national governments are focused on mitigation efforts, climate adaptation falls squarely in the local governance. And while for example, many states have set up organizations to train people to respond to disasters, we have still a way to go. So climate adaptation, which is done at the local level, which conserves water at the local level, things like that are the need of the hour. And the local governments will need a strong helping hand from NGOs to make it effective. And again, within the G20, India is now going to be an example, is setting the standards globally. And it will be, you know, obviously with the CSR, which is legally mandated and which has continued to grow over the past 5 years, there is ample opportunity in terms of funding, and there is a great need. So we hope that this will be the start of a big boost in this area.
Thank you so much, Zuhail, and I think it is very relevant that, would you say that every NGO should think in terms of what it can contribute to this space, you know, where while we manage the disasters, but the way we are developing our projects, whether it is health, environment, or education, keeping the HCL grant also in mind, because that is the reason why we are here. But we want to use this opportunity for the larger purpose. And what one key thing you would like to say to the NGOs here, because you are into research, I can see. As they are implementing their projects, should they also have a research bent of mind, and should they be documenting that information and data in such a way that, one is you are submitting a compliance report to the donor. Should they go deeper into understanding the larger trends of change, and maybe can they then inform policy making and come out with reports like this? And do you think that the NGOs can play a role in
They will play a very important role, because government agencies are always constrained by their mandate. NGOs are free to think out of the box, so as to speak. And they will be able to bring back very important feedback. For example, right now our NGO is involved with sustainable waste management. So, of course, Kerala has a big project which is funded partially by World Bank for municipal solid waste management. However, there are certain aspects which never came out. And when we had this public consultation, we had feedback from people who actually, the workers who actually go and collect the refuse. And, there's a completely different perspective. So no matter how well a project is written, no matter, if it's the best consultancy in the world, when it comes to local matters, only an NGO can give that perspective.
I think that's brilliant, and that's what I think would now take me to Santosh. And Santosh and I go back almost a decade now in the CSR space, while Santosh was heading KPMG's development sector practice. And let me tell you, under his leadership in KPMG, they were one of the top performers, if not the top performer in the CSR space from the development sector practice, various consulting organizations. And he's also a thought leader on LinkedIn. A lot of people follow him there. And I think almost a year now, Santosh, with HCL. So he's joined HCL about a year ago, and he's currently heading sustainability globally for HCLTech. The audience here, Santosh, would be very keen to understand, while we are hearing Dr. Jyoti, who's a teacher, who's a professor, we have Zuhail, who's a practitioner on the ground with his NGO. How is HCLTech viewing this amalgamation of collaborations, keeping in mind the larger challenges that we are facing? And as you are traveling globally, I'm seeing, the companies participating in so many of these forums. How important it is for each one of them to also know and understand that what they do here is also having a larger reflection globally, local and global, whatever we say, and how their CSR can further strengthen the achievement of SDG goals, and more specifically, what HCLTech's approach to this entire scenario is.
Thank you. So I think I'll start with the topic first in terms of how we look at the G20 presidency in India. And see, if you really look at what G20 is about, sharing what is required to the future among the top 20 economies in the world, where we are able to scale some of the things. And under this presidency, which is with India, I think India should be able to kind of put forward some of those experiments which we have done in the past, what kind of results it came, and is it possible for the world to take them? And one such experiment definitely is CSR. We were the first one around the world to kind of come out with a regulation and all those things. I say this because if you really look at the way in which the world is changing today, many things which we studied, when I say we, I mean me, is currently being challenged. As simple things as the economics, what we studied, is challenged. The concept of GDP is challenged. Now, what is GDP? If you produce more and if you waste more, your GDP will increase. If you produce more, if more people are sick, your GDP will increase. So as simple as that, some of those things which people understand are being challenged. And I think and CSR was one such experiment which India took at a period of time. And I would also go back, as Nikhil mentioned, that we both were party to that particular crime. But I should say that many people do not realize that the CSR was only one part of what we call as the Companies Act. Okay. It was not people call it as a CSR Act as a separate thing. No, there is nothing like that. It was Section 135 of the Companies Act. And I will go back and say that the Companies Act came up in 2013 in response to many of the corporate frauds which happened in the past. And thereby, the trust between the investor and the company was at a rock bottom. And it was at that time the regulation has to step in and improve that trust. And that's how the whole of the Companies Act comes in. And I think it's about 700 and odd sections. Out of that, one section is CSR. But why did CSR come into that? Again, I'll go back a decade back to that. If you really look at, investors lost their money because the companies could not expand in some geographies in India. Whether it is Orissa, whether it is Bengal, whether it is Tamil Nadu, you will see a lot of such kind of incidents. The reason being the trust between the company and the community. That was again hitting the rock bottom, and because of which the investor was losing the money. And hence, it was to protect the investor's interest, this clause was brought into the Companies Act, and there very clearly it was mentioned, preferably spend it in the local area. The reason why it came, okay. Of course, over a period of time, the rules came in and the people who govern all these things changed, and there has been some changes in that. But I'm saying the kind of reason why it came. It has really resulted into many good things. And I think it's time for us to, portray that, make case studies, and especially academic institutions like this have to kind of take that view as to how do you make that. Let me bring one more thing here. People think that CSR can solve the social issues of India. No. Okay, before COVID, as he mentioned, we used to do a study about how much is the CSR spending in India. We used to bring out in KPMG, we used to bring out a report every year. At that time, it was somewhere around 24,000 crore. Of all the companies, their 2% of their profit put together, it was about 24,000 crore. Now, with higher profits, it might have gone nearer to, let's say, 28 or 29, maybe 30,000 crore. Now, let me give you a perspective. The union budget and the state budgets, if you add it together for only two segments, which is education and health, before COVID, now I won't call, because that's a different scenario, before COVID, it was about 7 lakh crore. Now, what 7 lakh crore could not achieve, do you think this 26,000 crore can achieve? So, thinking that CSR is an answer to many things is not going to take anywhere. But over the years, what we have seen is how CSR can be a catalyst. And we have seen different financial models in funding evolve. And as NGOs, I think that's something which many of you have to take note. The way in which the future funding is going to change. And that's what we are also trying to do from the social stock exchange and all those things. But let me give you one more example. Sorry, I'm taking a bit of time here. There was this project of around the salt farmers in Kutch. Now, the salt farming in Kutch is majorly women who are working in the salt pans. The only expense for them is pumping the seawater into the salt pans, because they use the diesel pumps to pump the seawater into the salt pans. Rest everything is done by the sun because it dries and then they collect it. Now the problem is, can the pumping also not be done by the solar? It can be. But the problem is, they cannot buy the solar pumps. They don't have the credit worthiness to buy it. Now, as a company can go and say, I will put my CSR money to get solar pumps for them. That's the conventional way of thinking, right? Let us say you have, let us say, about 1 crore of rupee as CSR funding for that project. How many solar pumps you can buy? Let's say about, if each of the pump, I do not know the costings, but even if it's about a 50,000, we are talking about 200 pumps. That's all what you can do. But there was this company which went and talked to a bank and said that, why don't you provide loans to them? You are not providing loans to them because they do not have the credit worthiness. I will become the first loss guarantor. So anybody who is defaulting, the company from the CSR would pay. Now think about the impact it can have. It's not 200. If you have 1 crore and hardly about 6 to 7% default happens. Look at the quantum of impact by using a conventional channel, which as CSR you can provide. I'm just taking one example. There are many such examples in India in terms of innovative financing around social projects. So that's one part which I want to leave with you. The second part is, as you mentioned, in terms of the tech, the HCL Tech perspective. What we are looking into from an HCL Tech perspective is that, think about it right now. We have a lot of people are talking about ChatGPT, and during this thing I was talking to somebody about that. It's going to change a lot of things. It's going to change a lot of things in terms of livelihoods. The livelihoods where you have invested in are not going to be there because of what is kind of evolving in the AI space. So with that kind of things which are happening, how tech can be an enabler in your projects is something which I want every NGO to start thinking about it. Ma'am, you told about disaster management. There is enough tech support which is available as early warning signals. How much of it we are using? As simple as that. Let me give you a simple thing. We talk a lot about pollution, and especially Delhi stands out in the peak period of pollution. In terms of pollution, you determine your policies based upon how many monitoring stations in Delhi? Maximum 3 or 5. Can you devise effective ways with just 5 monitoring stations? Today, with technology, with satellite imaging, and sensors are cheap, damn cheap now. With local sensors, each street-wise, we can determine live pollution data. If you can have that live pollution data, you can have a lot of small things. Like, for example, can you stagger the school leaving time? Will it result into the pollution load reducing in that area? These are things which can be done with technology enablement. So simple things. Technology is available. Today, there is no dearth of technology. And I think this is a segment which we definitely would be eager. We have done it across the world. We have case studies. It's available over there. We have reduced, for example, in some of the places where security, safety is an issue, we have done with technology. We have increased, like in Mexico we did it, 27% of the people felt that they are more safe now within 1 year of implementation of that project. So there is availability of technology, and I would say to all the NGO friends over here is that kindly explore, and also to the academic institutions I would say that kindly look at how some of your research in this area as to bringing in the tech into solving some of these issues, how we can be, and these all can be, what I would say is that G20 definitely is a platform for us to showcase some of the things to all the world, and I think we should lead the way in this dimension as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Santosh. So what is very important with, I think, what Santosh is saying in the last part he said, the NGOs who were here, and I remember Santosh Roshni also speaking about the same thing in one of the partners meet, when I think Nidhi in her dialogue asked her, Ki, what is one thing that you would like our partner NGOs to kind of work on? She said technology as a key enabler, as a horizontal. So the NGOs who are here, I would like to exhort all of you, and I'm trying to do that with my own organization as well, with a small team, how I can bring in more technology which is in tune with the evolving times. So in many ways, I would say just as important it is for compliance to be known, I think the adaptation to technology and to use technology to enhance our output and impact becomes very relevant. So I think the panelists have given a broad sense of, aligning with the topic of today and how CSR can play a very important and an enabling role. We could have a round of questions now, Shelley, and if a mic can go around, and if you can raise your hands, because we have around 10-15 minutes left. We have around 10 minutes left. I think Saurav over there, in fact, Saurav is one of our students also, Santosh, from our CSR course. Can the mic be given to Saurav there? No, Saurav is here. Behind you, Saurav. If you can just give your name, your organization, and then ask the question. I think there's a button at the bottom.
Hi, thank you to the panel, and it was a pleasure listening to all of you. Greetings to all. I am associated with Pallium India in Trivandrum, which is working on palliative care. My question to Santosh sir would be, sir, would you like to enlighten us a little bit more on social stock exchange? I know it's a very new thing, new word in India, not very popular among NGOs, but would love to know more about how an NGO can benefit, because I had a discussion with panel of CAs internally as well as externally, and what I heard is that the compliance is similar to company when we go for listing on SSEs, which is itself a huge cost. And as an NGO, I don't think that middle segment NGOs would be able to incur that much cost, sir. Thank you.
Okay. In terms of the objective of the social stock exchange, there are two objectives. One is make philanthropy retail. Now that might sound a bit odd, but if you really look at it, it's mostly the high net worth individuals who are known as philanthropists today. But I think with the, we say that the millennials and the Gen Z are more sensitive and all those things. The first of the millennials will be turning 40 now. So I think they have reached a stage by which now we will be looking at how, even at a retail level, people can contribute to this. So bringing in that concept of, even if you have, let's say, you can buy a share of a company, even one share in a stock exchange, right? So it's more about that. So it's how do you bring in the retail philanthropy? That's one. The second part of it is that why do you go and buy that one share from a stock exchange? Because there is enough control mechanisms and governance which is there where you feel that your investment is safe. So how do you create that environment from the social sector perspective where an investor feels very safe to say that if I put 100 rupees, it goes to those individuals. So that governance is something which we are focusing on. So those are the prime two objectives on which the social stock exchange is evolving. So I'll stop at that. Yeah, I can go on and on, but for the time.
Thank you so much. And Saurav, this is an evolving thing, and there is the National Stock Exchange and both at the Bombay Stock Exchange. And as things evolve, maybe from the academy side also, we will have more sessions. Maybe we can invite Santosh also and some of the other experts to do some dedicated sessions on making us aware.
Thank you, sir.
தமிழ்ல பேசலாமா? தமிழ் பேசலாமா?
ஸோ நம்ம
பேசலாம், எனக்கு புரியும்.
தேங்க்யூ தேங்க்யூ. ஸோ நம்ம எல்லாருமே HCL ஃபவுண்டேஷனோடைய ஒரு ஃபங்க்ஷன் வந்திருக்கோம். ஹாப்பியாக இருக்கோமா? ஹாப்பியாக இருந்தால் ஒரு பெரிய கிளாப் பண்ணுங்க பார்க்கலாம். ஸோ லாங் கிளாப். உங்களோட சத்தமே கேட்கவே இல்லை. நீங்கள் ஹாப்பியாக இருக்கீன்றது உங்கள் கிளாப் தான் கொடுக்கணும். எனக்கு ஒரு சின்ன டவுட். நான் வந்து 16 வருஷமாக தாமரை சோஷியல் சர்வீஸ் ட்ரஸ்ட் நடத்துகிறேன். ஸோ நான் நிறைய புயல் வெள்ளம் எல்லாத்தையும் சுனாமிலேருந்தே பார்த்துருக்கேன். ஸோ ஒவ்வொரு வாட்டியும் நிறைய ப்ராஜெக்ட் அப்ளை பண்ணியிருக்கேன். ஸோ எனக்கு ஒரே ஒரு டவுட், சாரி டிஸ்டர்ப் பண்ணுறதுக்கு. ஒரு ஒரு HCLல ஒரு ப்ராஜெக்ட்க்கு 3 இயர்ஸ்க்கு 1C டிரான்சாக்ஷன் இருந்தால் மட்டும்தான் கிடைக்குமா? CSR ப்ராஜெக்ட்
மைக்கு கொஞ்சம் முன்னாடி வச்சு பேசுங்க.
ஸோ HCLல ஒரு ப்ராஜெக்ட்காக நான் அப்ளை பண்ணியிருக்கேன். ஸோ 3 இயர்ஸாக நான் மீட்டிங்ஸ் எல்லாமே அட்டன் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். என்கிட்ட நிறைய ப்ராஜெக்ட்ஸ் இருக்குது. நிறைய ரெக்கார்ட் கின்னஸ் ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். நிறைய ஸ்டூடெண்ட் கிட்டத்தட்ட 500 ஸ்டூடெண்ட்டை படிக்க வச்சுருக்கேன். ஸோ நிறைய விஷயங்களும் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். இதே கேரளாவிலையும் பண்ணியிருக்கேன், பெங்களூரில், ஒரிசாவெலாம் புயல் அப்போ என்னோட டீம் அங்கேருந்து சர்வீஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். ஆனால் எனக்கு ஒரே ஒரு சின்ன வருத்தம் என்னென்னா, நான் ப்ராஜெக்ட் அப்ளை பண்ணியிருக்கேன். லாஸ்ட்டாக ஃபைனலாக எனக்கு ஒரு மெயில் வந்துச்சு. ஸோ உங்கள் ப்ராஜெக்ட் அப்ரூவ்ட் ஆகிருக்கு, ஒரு சின்ன விஷயத்தினால கேன்சல் ஆகுது, 3 இயர்ஸ்க்கு 1C டிரான்சாக்ஷன் இருந்தால் மட்டும் கிடைக்கும் அப்படின்னாங்க. ஸோ ரைட் ராங்
புரிஞ்சுதுமா?
ஓகே, தேங்க்யூ.
நான் வந்து இவர்கிட்ட ஆன்சர் பண்ண சொல்கிறேன், அவருக்கு நான் புரிய வைக்கிறேன். அவருக்கு தமிழ் புரியாது. ஸோ வாட் ஷி இஸ் ஆஸ்கிங் இஸ், she has applied to HCL. The HCL Foundation liked everything, but the 1C is a challenge for her. 3 years she hasn't completed, so it's a challenge. How to overcome that?
And she's not a 3-year-old NGO, huh? Yeah. Oh, so then, Robin, can you reply to her, because then that's a next session will give you.
Amma, our detailed உங்களுக்கு reply பண்ணுவாரு. Okay?
Hello panel and hello everyone. So my name is Jose John. I am a research scholar from Cochin University of Science and Technology. My focus area or my PhD is in corporate social responsibility and how it promote community engagement. So it's a simple question and a simple insight to NGO people for their previous questions. So I have been working with a few NGOs for my preliminary study, and I have been part of training a few NGOs on CSR and also project management, agile project management, AI, how NGOs can be utilized that. So one thing that I understand that the CSR Act, everything is good, but the community which is getting CSR are not cared much. Because once the NGO or someone put forward a project, after say whether any project, there is a very less feedback from the community. They doesn't mind the feedback from the community much. Maybe because I'm not sure about the NGOs here, but the NGOs which I inquired for my preliminary research, this is my first research findings I would put forward. So I used to get this idea that NGOs are loving money and using people. Like they are first of all finding grants or money from companies, and then they are selecting certain target people or the target, and they are writing proposal. So I would request all NGOs to start loving people and use money to empower those people. Now that's what which I got from my preliminary point of my very limited research viewpoint. And my research question is, my question to the panel is, see, CSR project delivery, even though CSR, we have a lot of CSR fund, the delivery of project lack systematic or lack structure. So could you comment on that? How can we improve project management system, or should we adopt new project methodologies like agile project management to CSR, like which use in CSR, software industries, which get regular feedback from the community? So that's my question. Thank you.
So I think, I guess I would request Zuhail, can you respond to that? I think your question is, how can NGOs improve project management? If to put it in very simple one line, is that your question? So I will request Zuhail, because you work on the ground. What would be your advice? And I'll also come in as to, I think the query is, how can NGOs improve their delivery, their implementation and project management? What would you like to advise NGOs them on this area? Yeah,
I think evaluation, the impact evaluation is a big challenge because when the proposal is written, there are a lot of promises made. So I think sort of an all stakeholder regular meetings to evaluate the progress would be the way to go. Because sometimes even though the plans are grand, they don't actually come across. So we need that intermediate evaluation in order for it to be successful.
So let me just add something here. What I do for my projects is, when I'm building my detailed project report, I begin with the Gantt chart. The Gantt chart, I hope you know what the Gantt chart is. It tells me month-wise the work delivery. I want to make it very clear in my mind and my team, and we discuss that together. The cost sheet and the deliveries then follow. I first make the Gantt chart. Also, when the project gets sanctioned and I'm rolling it out, I need to hire capable people. People should be from the sector, from that particular area. If I'm doing an education project, they should be trained in that area. So what I also would like to say is this, that the NGOs and therefore the NGO leaders must ensure that their staff is reasonably qualified, and then they should be trained more on the job also. So the leader has a great role to play. There is nothing which is available quick fix. You may have softwares which will help you in project management, but if the people are not feeding in the data right, then again it will go wrong. Eventually, very, very committed people are needed, and the leaders of the project or the organization must hire right kind of staff also, and then train them and capacity build them. And then as the project rolls out, as Zuhail just said, you have your periodic reviews, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or whatever. Also, a key part of project management is regular field visit. Please make sure that you are not doing it remote control. You have to be on the field, and you have to go to the field and ask the right questions. If you ask the right questions, you know what is going wrong, where do I need to make the mid-course corrections.
Can I just add a simple thing is that in the past, I used to say this, now I don't say, is that corporates are run from here, whereas the NGOs are run from here. But now what happens is that it has to be run from both. And so I think the evolution which is happening is that the corporate is realizing that it is not just the shareholders' return, but the broader stakeholders' return. So there is this thing and this thing. And then from the NGO side, I think you need to improve your governance, your management, and all those things. So it is this plus this. Thank you.
I think that will be, I think ma'am, you have a question. Maybe one last question.
Yeah, sir, because Mr. Pani, you have said technology. I have listened from you the word technology. That is very good. Technology. Yeah, because technology inclusive intervention, that is actually, I think you may promote that through NGOs. Now we are lacking to implement the project through a technological platform. Even C20, we were a part of C20. There also digitalization, digital transformation of education, digital transformation of health system. All the intervention is nowadays based on technology based. So in such situation, this project concept and project focus will be on through technology. In such situations, what is your advice towards the NGOs, those who are willing to learn, willing to implement technology inclusive education, technology-based intervention in healthcare and other areas? Thank you. I want to listen
because
that.
you mentioned technology, would you like to say something?
No, I think I will just say that there will not be a future effective project without integrating technology. So it is going to be that common thing which is going to cut across all the projects. So I think we can discuss it further. I think we have got signal to that we are crossing the time limits, but happy to discuss one-to-one as well.
We will discuss on the parallel. There's another session coming in because we're already running out of time. So thank you so much to the esteemed panelists. I think we had a very, very, very interesting, invigorating session. And we look forward to the next session, which I think Anuj is over to you, Anuj.
Thank you, Nikhil. I think the panel deserves the huge round of applause. As I mentioned before, it actually began that it would be very insightful. And ma'am, be assured, in fact, any of you would have more questions. So there is a networking lunch which is planned. So all the panelists would be here. So please feel free to walk to them and clarify any of the doubts you may have. And on that note, I request if Mr. Santosh and Mr. Nikhil can felicitate our esteemed other panelists, Dr. Jyoti and Mr. Zuhail. Yeah, can we have the trophies, please? So that's a small token of appreciation on behalf of HCL Foundation. So I request Mr. Santosh to kindly present it to Dr. Jyoti Krishnan. And if Mr. Nikhil Pant can felicitate Mr. Zuhail Sainuddin. And thank you once again on behalf of HCL Foundation for sparing your valuable time and sharing your insights on this very, very important topic. And I'm sure you all must have got good insights as to how CSRs are investing rightly towards the growth and development story of India. So in the interest of time, we will immediately move to our next session, which is, I'm sure you all are eagerly looking forward to learn and understand more about HCLTech Grant by HCL Foundation, how the processes are defined, and we will also be joined in by our senior advisors, subject matter experts, and some of our current recipients to share their experience about HCL Grant, which will also help you to, all of you, those who are eligible, at least to get some insights while you are going to submit applications for edition 9. But before that, we will take you through the entire process and how the structure is defined of HCL Grant. And for that, I would like to have my colleague Robin and Shelley on the dais to kindly take us through the HCL Grant process, how the timeline looks like, and what is it that we are looking at each of these stages. So over to you, Robin.
Thank you, Anuj. So I'd like to introduce Anuj also. He's just not doing the MC here. He is very much a big pillar of HCL Foundation, where he manages the entire HCL grant recipients from edition 2 to edition 8 till now. And is also managing all other projects in HCL Foundation. Thank you, Anuj. Okay, so now I'd like to invite my colleague Shelley Kaushal. You must be knowing her through telephone because she is the person who is the voice behind HCL Grant toll-free number, which we have. So she's the one who takes all the calls. And Shelley has been with HCL Foundation for 3 years now, and has been managing single-handedly the entire HCL Grant Edition rollout for HCL Foundation. So before we start this session, I want to ensure everyone, all the NGOs sitting out here, there were a lot of questions what we should do, what we should not do, what we should write, what we should not write, what donors want, what NGOs should write, or what NGOs requirement is, and how CSR or companies like us can match those requirements. Everything will be answered in this session. Everything will be answered in this session. You will have to make notes here. Because I'll tell you, we can't come back to NGOs. This is the reason why we are doing these symposiums, why we are coming to these locations. Because we can't have one-on-one calls with you, because that much bandwidth we also don't have. So what we do, we use this platform to communicate with all the NGOs who have been applying for HCL Grant from Pan-India, and that is the reason we are doing these Pan-India Symposiums. Not only we want to communicate with you, but we want to communicate it through our panel, our independent experts, subject matter experts who have been evaluating these proposals. They will say, so you will hear from the horse's mouth, why they reject some proposals, why they select some proposals, and what is the criteria we use in selecting proposals, in also not rejecting, I will say, but not getting shortlisted for the next stages. So that is what you can expect from this session. And please switch off all your mobile phones. थोड़ी देर के लिए mobile phones सब like just onnu maati vechittu let's focus on this session. Over to you, Shelly.
Thank you so much, Robin. So we'll quickly start. First of all, I wanted to ask you, have you all registered for HCLTech Grant? So I just see 2 hands. Can I have more hands who have registered? Okay, great. So I'll also tell you how you can register for HCLTech Grant. But before that, I would want to start with what is HCLTech Grant. So HCLTech Grant, it was started in 2015. It's a CSR initiative by HCL Foundation, where we give financial grants to the NGOs who are doing path-breaking work towards the rural transformation of rural India. So it comes with 2 clear-cut objectives. So the first objective, which you can also see on the screen, is to award financial grant to innovative, replicable, scalable, sustainable, and time-bound projects. And we give grants in 3 categories, which is environment, health, and education. And the second objective is, you can see these compendiums here. So the second objective, you can see the compendiums here. So these are 7 editions which are already out. And NGOs, so top 30 NGOs are featured in these compendiums. And so far we have 210 NGOs who have already been featured in this compendiums. Their models, their path-breaking models, their innovative models we feature in these compendiums. And it will give you a lot of global presence also, and also it will open doors for you to apply for other donors, because this gives you a lot of credibility, lot of diligence. And moving out to the next slide. So yeah, as I was just mentioning, that HCLTech Grant gives financial grants to the NGOs who are doing path-breaking work towards the rural transformation. So we give grant in 3 categories: environment, health, and education. So we give 5 crore each. In each category, the recipient NGO, the winner NGO received 5 crore each for a 4-year project, and the other finalists received 25 lakh for a 1-year-long project. So the total committed fund is 16.5 crore. Moving out to the next slide. Yeah. So these are some of the definitions of our categories in which we give grants. This is not a comprehensive list. This is just an indicative list which will give you an idea that, because I get a lot of queries that, what should be our model, how should we write a proposal, which theme should we focus on, because like all these 3 categories have a lot of sub-themes also. So we have just given here an indicative list that will also help you to prepare your project. So we have all the 3 categories definition here, and also you can visit our website. So on the About Us section, we also have this list there. Moving on to the next. Next. Yeah. So this is education category definitions. Next. Yeah. So now this is something which is very crucial, and I was just mentioning. So it's important that you should know that what is the difference between a registration and an application. So just registering yourself doesn't mean that you are considered for a grant. So it's important that you register, then log in, and then submit your application. So I'll also tell you that how you have to do this. So there are ways how you can register yourself. So first I'll go through our website and tell you that how you can register. Okay, meanwhile we are just fixing that. So let me tell you, I hope you all have received your registration kit bags. I hope you have all, right? Yeah. So I am sure you can see a QR code here. Can you see a QR code which says HCL Grant Registration 2023? And I'm sure, with this digital coming up, you all use Paytms, right? So you have a QR code scanner there. So even if you scan this QR code, you will be directed to the registration link and you can register. So just to make our process so easy for you all, we have also come up with this thing. And the bags you see, so I'll also take this opportunity. So all these bags are created by our special initiative called My eHeart. We have procured all these products. So if you see the notepad also inside this, they are the handmade paper. It's a waste paper, recycled paper. So, if you are not able to find the registration link, here it is. You can scan it and it will redirect you to the registration link of HCLTech Grant. Should I come? So, okay, while we are fixing this, so I'll also tell you that, how you can apply for HCLTech Grant. So, if you will see that, as I was mentioning that registration alone will not help you. You need to submit your application for you to get considered for HCLTech Grant. And for that, you need to register yourself and log in. And after login, you will get, so the form is divided into 3 parts. So, the first is organization profile, then is a project abstract, then there is a documents upload, and then you will also get an acknowledgement. So after submitting each form, after submitting organization profile, you will get an acknowledgement that your organization profile has been submitted. Then you will proceed for your organization project abstract. So you again get, after filling that, you will again get an acknowledgement that it is filled. Website. So I'll just quickly show you that how you can, through our website, you can do the registration. Yeah. So this is our website. So let me just come down and let me do myself. So yeah, so now this is the registration page. So how you can go to the who can apply section. Just go to the who can apply section. So under the who can apply section, just go down. Who can? Yeah, just go down. Go up, little up. Give. So this is basically a registration link. So once you will click on this registration link, now the registration page will be open. So you have to just fill your basic details, your name, your organization name, your address, your mobile number, and the category you wish to apply. And after that, this is a login page on the right hand side. So once you will register on your registered email ID, you will get a link to set your password. So just click on that link and set your password. After that, on the right hand side, you have to do your username, put your username and the password which you have set in. Once you do that, you will be able to log in. Just log in. Yeah, so this is a form I was talking about. So you'll see that there are 3 sections. The first is organization profile, then project abstract, and then the documents. So one by one, you have to fill the application. So now this is about the application, how you have to fill the application. So I'm also around. So if you have any queries and if you face any difficulty, do let me know. I will be able to help you.
So just a little add-on. So while there are 3 sections, clear 3 sections: organization profile, project proposal, and documents upload. Unless and until you are not filling your organization profile, the page would not allow you to go to the next page. So ensure that while you have successfully done your registration and you are logged in through your username and password, you have to fill in the complete details of organization profile. And then there is a button which says submit. Once you will submit that, the notification will pop up that your organization profile has been submitted. and then it will automatically take you to the project proposal page.
Okay, so moving on to the our presentation. So this is our evaluation process. So I was talking about that HCLTech grant, it's a 7-stage selection process. And so the stage 1, so we invite applications from all the NGOs, and the portal is live for 60 days for you to fill the application. Once we receive the application, we have our domain experts, we have subject matter experts sitting here with us today also. So they review your concept notes and then they shortlist the concept notes. So NGOs whose concept notes are shortlisted, they go to the third stage, which is a detailed proposal round, wherein again the portal is live for 15 days and we invite shortlisted NGOs to submit their detailed proposal. Again, this detailed proposal is being reviewed by our domain experts, our subject matter experts, and our experts from the HCL Foundation team. So NGOs who's further shortlisted their detailed proposal, then they go through the stage 4, which is a field audit. So in the field audit, so along with our subject matter expert and our HCL Foundation team member, we visit your field. We go in person and visit your field, which is a 2-day process, where the first day is dedicated, wherein we do the official check of all the documents we have received. We have board meetings, and I am sure Suraj will be sharing his experience also of Planet Earth, who have won the HCLTech Grant in Environment category this year. Then after that, we have a stage 5, which is a sub-jury review, wherein we have 12-member sub-jury member, which review all the proposals. So we do a case presentation. So we also have a governance partner, Grant Thornton. So along with the Grant Thornton team, our subject matter expert do the case presentation of each field, of each NGO which is visited by them. And then the top 9 NGOs are shortlisted. So stage 6 is a crucial stage where we do the due diligence of these 9 finalist NGOs, wherein our Grant Thornton, our governance partner, they help us and do the due diligence of these 9 finalist NGOs. So we also do a video of all these NGOs so that, our jury members, which is our last stage, which is a 7th stage, our jury members can also, able to also see that, what the project is all about, what the model is all about. So we do that, and as I was also referring that, during that stage, we also do the top 30 of this compendium. All the work is featured in this compendium. So, and then stage 7 is a jury review and announcement of the winners. So we have eminent jury members. We'll be showing you that also. And they do, and then they review and shortlist and announce the winners of HCLTech grant. So moving on next. Yeah, so these are the HCLTech grant sub-jury members, which are a mix of HCLTech and our other flagship programs. Next. Yeah, this is HCLTech grant jury members. So you can see, and all the information is there on website also. So please feel free to visit our website and, read more about it. The more you read, the more you will be able to write the good proposals. So yes, now moving on to the key selection criteria, I would like to welcome Robin to please take this session, because he is the right person and he's been running it from last 7 to 8 years. So I'm also learning from him. So yeah, Robin, over to you.
Thank you. So, so now you have got an idea how to apply for HCL grant. Okay. Now, as a funder, as donors, how we evaluate each proposal is what I'm going to explain to you. So you can see these are the selection criteria for HCL Foundation. Okay. Now, when you see these selection criteria, for other donors, they might have their own criteria. Okay. But if you see overall project management, the criteria somewhere connects here. So these selection criteria have been culled out after going through rigorous, grant, all the grants which are happening in India and globally. And these are some of the selection criteria which we have not made by through silos. We have made it with experts who have actually spent 20 to 30 years in the development sector, working in some of the most reputed developmental organizations. And that is how we have come out with these selection criteria. Now, in any donor, for any donor, you know, for HCL Foundation specifically, I'm telling you, we are giving 40% weightage to the organization, 60% weightage to the project. Now, in 40%, what we see? We see the organization's strength. When I say organization's strength, it means whether you are following your organizational due diligence checks, whether you have all your documents in place, basic documents. What do you mean by basic documents? 12A, 80G, your registration certificate, your audited financial reports, your minutes of the meeting, board minutes meeting. These are some of the documents which you will have to make sure that is, even if it is there with you, it should be updated. Now, many NGOs says that we have FCRA. Okay, that is a very good thing. You have an FCRA because nowadays, in today's time, getting an FCRA itself is a big achievement for any NGO, any charitable institution. If you have that FCRA, are you in compliance with that FCRA? Are you following that FCRA? Is what the question is. Now, when we come and do the due diligence check, and if we see, even if you have that FCRA, but if you are not compliant, you are gone. That 40% weightage will affect. If you have EPF, Employee Provident Fund, you should make sure that you are compliant with the PF norms. If you are not, you are reducing the score there. Now, if we have 100% weightage in each proposal, so please listen, whatever I am saying, these are some of the basic things every donor checks. Every donor will check these things. If I have 100% weightage, 40% I am giving to organization, I will see each and everything. If I open the organizational checklist, you will find 100 things which we have to do a checklist. Okay, this NGO has a 12A, 80G. Under 80G, what all things are there? Under audited financial reports, whether 3 years audited financial reports are there or not. Whether your board minutes of last 3 years are there or not. All these things are checked, verified, then scored. And it takes time. So that's the reason we open our portal in the month of April and we announce the winner next year of March. Because 250 to 290 days we only spent on shortlisting NGOs in each stages. And how we do this shortlisting is basis these weightages, the organization strength, the capacity to deliver is on the organization front. Now on the project side, these are the 6 parameters. These are the 6 parameters and I can guarantee you, if you follow these parameters in your proposal writing, most of the donor funds will come to you. But you will have to make sure you correlate your projects. Correlate your projects. I'll tell you how. Now, for us, first point is relevance. Now, what NGOs does, they will submit a proposal. Now, in the HCL grant, we are only asking you the concept note. We are not asking you to submit a 10-page detailed proposal. Now, Avani sir is sitting with us. He will share his experience because he has been instrumental. I don't know how many thousands of proposals he has read, how many concept notes he has gone through, and then the winners is announced. Now, he will share his experience also as an evaluator. But as a donor, I can tell you, when you write the concept note, make sure whatever you're writing is relevant. For example, you're writing a problem statement. Ki, this is a project and this is the problem statement of this project. Are you referring to any data? Or it's just that you are just saying it with some calculations which you have done within your team? No. It should have a verified secondary data fact sheets associated with us, with the proposal. And when you submit a concept note, it should not be a parallel program which government is already running. It has to complement. It can't be a substitute. If you have to put up a proposal, if government is already, okay, I'll explain you. If government is having an Anganwadi center, it's already running. If it is defunct, for example, one case is it is already running, and you are actually strengthening that, or you are making it more efficient through some resources which you are asking from the funders, which government is not giving. That is what you are putting an addition. Now, if you are same center, you are also building in the same place with the donor fund, well, then the first question donor will ask, when already that center is running, why you are asking for another fund to open the same center which government is already running? Why can't you scale up that center which government is already running, and we will contribute? So you need to have that convergence, convergence model. That is what HCL Foundation also believe. Okay, so how relevant is your project is what you should focus on, and relevance will come with the proof of concept. How you prove that this project is actually worth applying to a donor, and donor should also see it in a very innovative way of, you will have to give us some reasons why it is so relevant to have this project there. Second is impact innovation. What is the overall impact you are going to create? Now, I was just sitting there, and there were one or two NGOs who came to me and asked, okay, we have a project. It has education also, it has environment also. Where to pitch that project? Where to pitch that project? My answer to that question was, what is the impact? Where is the impact you are seeing? If it is environmental impact, you should apply it in the environment category. If the impact is on education, it should be an education project. Don't try to mix up the projects, please. That is the mistake every NGO do. Never mix up your project. You should have a focused approach. You should know, okay, this is my problem statement, which has component of both education and environment. But if it is an environment impact, so education should be a supporting component. It can't be your major component. Okay, so that is one thing which every NGO, while you're writing the proposal, make sure you're focusing on only one category. Now, you have your registrations. How many of you have a registration certificate? Okay. How many of you have read your bylaws? Okay. I know this is a very foolish question which I am asking, but I'll come to you. I'll come to that, why I'm asking this. Okay, if one organization, one donor is coming to tell you that there is a fund available for animal welfare. Okay? There is a fund available for animal welfare. How many of you will apply for that fund? There is a huge fund, 1 crore coming for animal welfare. And your registration certificate is there. How many of you will apply? How many of you will apply? 1 crore. Okay, what is the thing you will see first? Check first. Whether in your bylaws that thing is there or not. This is also one reason for the disqualification. Now what happens, NGOs will apply for education, for example, or some subcategory which they don't have it in their bylaws. That's one basic mistake. Okay, so make sure whatever is in your bylaws, you are proposing it as per your bylaws. That is one.
Also, there is a provision to correct what Robin just mentioned. So should you wish that you need to further broaden your area of work or area of intervention, there is always a provision to further do amendments in your existing bylaws.
Yeah. So that amendments you should do then before applying. First you do the amendment, then apply. Okay. Now, the third is the sustainability. This is also one very important part. Where you have proposed a project, if there is no sustainability, what is your sustainability strategy? You should come out very clearly in that concept note. One very important thing is innovation. You know, there you will find hundreds of NGOs doing conventional method of projects. Same Anganwadi, same A&M, same ASHA workers, same those education models. What is that one innovative thing which you want to pitch to that donor is what you should think and bold it out. This is one innovative model which we want to pitch. Even if it's a fresh model, even if it's a replicable model, even if it's a scalable model. These are the three types of projects which you can apply to any donor. So in that also, what is that innovation you are pitching? Please make sure there is some innovation in your project. That should be visible. Okay? Then inclusiveness. How inclusive is your project? How you are taking the beneficiaries, the percentage of male, female. If it's any project should have, so it depends on the project to project, but the bifurcation of the beneficiaries is also checked. Whether it has the composition of all kinds of beneficiaries, including people living with disability, transgenders, everyone. Replicability and scalability is what, we also check. How strong your model, how strong is the proposal on the replicability part. So replicability means, the replicability meaning, right? Scalability. So all those things we check. Then the most important thing and the least bothered by NGOs is the financial modeling. Now, in our HCL grant, there is a prerequisite that you can't use your fund for sub-granting. You can't use your fund majorly for the infrastructure development. Now, when we get the proposal, what we see, there are a lot of NGOs who put their major funds, like for example, 5 crore you are asking from HCL. 5 crore for a 3-year project or 4-year project. Now, out of that 5 crore, you are saying that 3 crore, 3.5 crore will only go for the infrastructure development, which for HCL Foundation, we have some limitations. We will see the nature of the project. That will be also seen case by case. But make sure that whatever funds you are asking from the donor, whether it actually needs that much infrastructure fund or not, or you can utilize the current infrastructure facilities which government already have and use those funds for strengthening your project activities, reaching out to more communities so that that community can use that infrastructure to get the benefits. So that is what you should focus on, and the financial modeling will help. So basically when you put up a proposal, the financial activities, the project activities, it should connect with your problem statement, it should connect with your implementation strategy, it should connect with your overall impact. If it is not connecting, weak project. And when you make the proposal, what happens? There is a project fundraising team. They are the ones who are writing the proposal, they are the ones who are putting up the proposal. But they don't know the reality of the ground. The ground situation is only experienced and known by the ground staff only. When you write the proposal, before submitting, make sure you have representatives from your ground, your actual on-ground implementation team. You have representatives from your finance, you have representatives from your program senior team, and then everyone with consensus should submit their proposal. Because you have enough time, 60 days we are giving to submit your proposal. Now 25th June, 27th June is the last day to submit your proposal. Okay? So these are some of the tips which I am giving. So next. So these are the things which you can make sure, like first is the compliance. Compliance on your documents, compliance on your checklists, which your organization should have, and then the governance. You should have your regular board meetings planned or, documented somewhere. You should have, independent board members. It should not be a family-run trust. It should not look like family has an interest in that. Okay? It should not politically or religiously affiliated kind of a, it should have its own separate entity where you have independent board members also in the board. And then there should be no litigation, active litigation. We also check that. There is a back-end team. So Grant Thornton is the governance partner for HCL Foundation. So they check each and every documents which you submit, and also they also check a back-end check on your organization's background. Everything they do a checking. And then financial management, capacity to deliver, and then the program structure. So all these things are, I'm not going into detail because these are some of the basic things which we check during all these 7 stages. All these 7 stages, everything is checked. Next. Okay. Now before I hand over it to Anuj, most of these, like you had this thing that we are not giving you feedback. You are submitting the proposal, but you are not getting a response that where it has gone wrong or something. In stage 1 and stage 2, we are clearly sending an email that whether you have crossed the eligibility criteria or not. The first check we put is the eligibility criteria, which is the organization should have 5 years of functional experience, and for education and health, the average 3 years expenditure should be 1 crore, and in environment category it should be 50 lakhs. That is very clear in the entire eligibility criteria. If you are not fulfilling that, you are straight away rejected. Now, once the NGOs who are clearing that eligibility criteria, they move into the stage 2 where we then shortlist basis your concept note, and we only ask 150 NGOs. For example, 1,000 applications we received. As per our experience, only 50% goes to the next stage basis the eligibility check. That 50%, for example, 500 NGOs went to the stage 2. We only asked 150 NGOs to submit the proposal. 50 in each category. And that proposal will be detailed proposal. Now, the NGOs who are not clearing concept note stage, we generally send them a general feedback. We can't give you one-on-one, like we can't send you the real feedback. Okay, now I'll tell you how this scoring is done. So we have Mr. Avani Kumar. Sir is an independent subject matter expert with HCL Foundation. He's not on the HCL Foundation payroll, but he is an independent consultant. He looks at each proposal with the same lenses. Okay, and there is a conflict of interest policy here also. If Avani sir is associated with any NGO, he will have to declare that, and he can't review that proposal. So that is also one category there. So independent consultants, they evaluate. So we have 15 consultants. So they evaluate this proposal. So that is one team. There is another team, governance partner, Grant Thornton. They also have their subject matter experts. So they also do the evaluation. Then we have the HCL Foundation subject matter experts. So they also evaluate the proposal. So the scoring of all these 3, we accumulate, and then basis the highest scoring, the next NGOs, the NGOs are shortlisted. Now, if I come to you, say that, ma'am, your score was less in the sustainability, or your score was less in this thing. So what we have experienced is what? They have challenged us. They have challenged us. No, this can't be possible. Ye to ho hi nahi sakta. Like you will have to prove us. Now, how will you prove us? Because we have the scoring from 3 jury members, and then we have consolidated it. We have just consolidated it. And basis the scoring, qualitative and quantitative, both, we get the qualitative comments also. Basis that comments and the scoring only, we select shortlist the NGOs. Okay. Now, to share that experience, we have Avani sir, we have Planet Earth. Mr. Suraj Abraham, which Anuj will introduce them. They are the winners of HCL Grant 2023 in the environment category. May I have a round of applause for them from the Kerala. This is the So Kerala mein first winner in HCL Grant is Planet Earth. So this is a proud moment, and sir will be calling you. So now you will hear from Suraj, because Planet Earth also is one NGO who has been applying for HCL Grant for, I don't know, like, you know, they have been trying, they have been, you know, attending these symposiums. They got the tips, they applied, and they are today sitting as a winner of HCL Grant. They have competed with more than 15,000 registered NGOs, more than 2,000 applications, just imagine, and they are the winners of HCL Grant in environment category. So that is the competition they have crossed, and, you know, and the level of due diligence they have cleared. Okay, now I'll hand over it to Anuj to take it forward and let them share their experience now.
Thank you very much, Robin. I think let's give Shelly and Robin a very detailed, a huge applause for the detailed briefing. And while Robin clearly talked about how strongly we look at the programmatic value of any proposal, and how strongly do we look at the governance check, and to validate the same, and as in the beginning when we started the day, as I mentioned, that we will end the day with a very crucial and very important session where we are going to validate what we have spoken so far. So on that note, I would now like to invite on dais Mr. Avni Kumar Verma, Senior Advisor and Subject Matter Expert with HCL Foundation. I'll also take 30 seconds to quickly talk about him. He's an ex-IFS Indian Forest Services Officer and Principal Chief Conservator of Forest, former Head of the Forest Force Karnataka, former Chief Wildlife Warden Karnataka. Presently, he is Chairman Network for Certification and Conservation of Forest India, Chairman ABS Committee Karnataka Biodiversity Board, Member Agro-Forestry Submission Government of India. I think the list will go on, but you know, he has also he was also trained in Indira Gandhi National Forest Academy, Dehradun, and National Admin Academy, Mussoorie. Mr. Verma has been associated with HCL Grant for last 5 years, and one of the senior subject matter experts have been guiding us throughout this journey. The other, as Robin has already introduced, Mr. Suraj Abraham, the first time winners from Kerala. So again, a huge round of applause for Planet Earth. Mr. Suraj Abraham is the founder and secretary at Planet Earth. 22 years in training. He started as a language and communication coach. Over the years, thanks to heading the NGO that he helped to start, and thus working with more than 100 staff, he was able to gain hands-on experience in core skills from leadership to team building performance, improvement to work-life balance. So I'm going to interact with both of them, and I request all of you to please pay keen attention as to what they are going on.
This is going to be kind of a real-life story, how they evaluate the projects and how Planet Earth won the HCL Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Verma. Thank you, Mr. Abraham, for joining us today. I think this is again very crucial, and as I mentioned, that whatever Santosh had spoken about, whatever Nikhil has spoken about, and whatever Robin and Shelley had spoken about, this is the time to validate those facts. So the first question to you, Mr. Verma, is since it's been 5 years you've been associated with HCL Grant. Firstly, if you can talk about your own experience, that how have you felt that confidence, because I'm sure many other corporates or many other bodies would like to associate with a personality like you coming from the forest services. But what is it that had really gave you that confidence that you were associated, that you are still associated with the foundation, and your overall experience of, you know, reviewing and, you know, doing field audits, etc. Yeah, sure. Please feel free.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm very pleased to be part of this exercise, and thank you HCL Foundation and Grant for getting me here. Secondly, I would like to say right from beginning, what you have been hearing since morning, whether it is Jairam Saab or Pantji or Anuj or Robin, or even Shelley, you are hearing answers to your question one by one. So I would just add to whatever they have said, maybe a bit of repetition. Give me 5 minutes to go through what I have prepared for you, lest any point is missed out, because this is really crucial that you should know where and how we go through the whole process to be the winner, like our friend is here. I will answer the question of Anuj also in the same thing, but let me go through what has come to my mind and what I have summarized. Robin has already stated that when the papers come to us, and believe me, it is not easy. The process has become almost like IIT now. IIT, I mean, what you call the mains and then advanced. Each and every segment is given specific marks, 10, 15, 20, and then their overall weightage. So even if I am a bit subjective, though we try to be objective 99% of the time, 1% subjectivity does come because of our experience. My fellow panelist or evaluator may have gone through some other experiences in some other fields, so he might try to bring forth his viewpoints. And that is where, when we meet together to come out with some consensus, the winner is clearly, found by that process. So friends, what you should not be doing, I would like to tell you, or what we look into the whole process first as evaluator. Obviously, first we see the overall governance, financial stability, past work related to the sector applied for, its scale in times of reach and spread, and the influence and effect you are having amongst the local community. They do play a very important role in sorting out the initial applications. Commitment of the NGO and its staff, that is what we see when we go there, and we can immediately find out how much they are into in this field, in these two aspects. Then the field presence is very helpful. Robin talked about it. It should not be a headquarter-driven networking. It should be a field-based organization with good networking with local NGOs, local self-help groups, women's group, youth group, farmers processing organization, etc. VFCs, village panchayats, etc. Credibility of the NGOs among people and other stakeholders. Now, this is what we are seeing going to see in the field, and we are able to find out during our very hectic tour as to where you people stand. Many projects are made in a very general way. It has been already pointed out, and it's very difficult to sort out as to what you really want. So please make a very specific project. Now, I will give you an example. Say, for example, many NGOs are experts in community building. Very good, creating awareness. But if you make it as a core of your strategy without giving us tangible output in terms of measurable quantity in the field, I am very sorry, despite our attempt to help you, it doesn't cut eyes with our, next assessors. So I will stop at this level, but before that, I will try to point out towards the combination and constitution of now the juries. Friends, now the international, flavor has been brought in. So they are also watching what's happening in India or in environmental field or any field. So they ask the questions to us as to why we selected them, and if we are unable to convince them, you can imagine what would be the position of people like you who are applying and waiting for the result. We are facing the jurists and now the international panelists. So we have to be up on our toes, and what was answering Anush's question, what brought me to this whole exercise was the reason that nowhere, I've worked with many organizations, and thank you very much for telling something about me, which is just by the way, I really find pleasure to work with HCL Foundation because this kind of process I have never seen, not even in government, to be so transparent. because it is our credibility also at stake. And of course, going to the rural people, going to the field in a very, very committed manner is another quality which drew us to your organization. Anuj, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Verma. I think very important points you have touched base. This year specifically, as sir has mentioned, that we did had some of our sub-jury members who were sitting in overseas and not from this country. In fact, when they asked these questions, it was very difficult for subject matter experts, some senior subject matter experts like Mr. Verma, to defend the cases and to justify the kind of developmental work happening in India. So I think very, very strong messaging which you have conveyed. Transparency is one very important aspect which we look at throughout the 7 stages of the due diligence which happens. I'll just connect the dots and immediately jump to Suraj. And firstly, let me congratulate you from the bottom of my heart, and it is indeed our pleasure to have you as one of our network partners. Regarding Planet Earth, I'll just take 30 seconds again. This is one organization who has been applying for HCL grant for, I think, 4 years, if I'm not wrong. 4 years is what, in fact, the entire team is sitting. If you can please raise up and just wave to the audience, the Planet Earth team in blue shirts. So thank you for coming today and joining us. So this team has been putting in so much of hard work, and every time we received the proposal, it was very thought through and very detailed. And this year, they were very fortunate, and I would say the proposal was very strong. The project was very strong. We will also have a look at the video, the proposal video, which will just give you a glimpse of what the project looks like. So many congratulations once again. Suraj, you have gone through, not exclusively this year, but in previous years also, through the 7 stages, while the field audit had happened, while the SMEs have visited you, and at the level of abstract, at the level of detailed proposal. How has been your experience going through the what do we say, robustness of HCL grant? So if you could want to talk about it.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Talking about the HCL grant and our experience over the years, as sir rightly pointed out, it was not our first time. It was indeed our 4th time. And each time we applied, we moved one step further. And when I say one step further, I'm not exclusively talking about moving one step towards getting the grant, but we're talking about improvement to our organization, because we needed to learn a lot. And I think back in 2018, when we attended the symposium in Rajagiri, that's when we really learned a lot about how we should actually draft the proposal and how we need to improve upon our organization. So as far as Planet Earth is concerned, every, say, transaction we made over the years with HCL grant was a learning experience for us. We realized that we had to go back to the drawing board and rework our entire strategy when we are approaching HCL grant. It's not the first time that we're getting a CSR grant. We have got this before, but honestly speaking, that was not so difficult, if I could use that word, because when I use the word difficult, I would not use it in a discouraging sense, but I would say that there's a lot of work to be done. It is not cakewalk at all, because from drafting the project proposal to being prepared for the expert visits, when the expert visits happen, you have no idea how much readiness is required. They could check any book of yours, any account statement. They could question you on any aspect of the project. They actually do stakeholder visits. They talk to the stakeholders, not us. And there is no stone unturned. So as far as we are concerned, I remember on the day when this was online, in fact, when our name was announced, it was an online session. We had reached a state of mind where we said, it's okay if we don't win, because we have learned a lot. Our organization has come miles, in fact, from where we were earlier. So we had actually reached a state of, say, accepting that even if we don't win, it's okay. Reaching the finals itself was huge for us. So since we are a finalist and we looked at the other finalists, we noticed giants in terms of NGOs as the other finalists, and we are like, okay, we are there, we are at least competing with them. That much is okay, we are already winners. And when finally ma'am announced our name, it was like joy unbound. We had no limits. And to reach that stage and to know that we are good enough to be considered by an organization like HCL, that was the biggest takeaway for us. And throughout, one thing I'd like to point out is the professionalism, the sheer professionalism of everybody who's connected to HCL, whether it is Robin sir or Anuj sir or Shelly ma'am, or there are other people who are not here today. The sheer professionalism, that requires a big bow on our part. They are absolute in that respect. The team that comes down, they fly down, considered ourselves to be professionals, but then we learned a lot from them at every stage, and we'd like to thank you for that as well. That's about it.
Thank you so much. So let's have a quick look at as to what was the proposal and what is it that they are going to actually. Yeah, Robin, over
just to add, before we start the video, Suraj just mentioned that at one stage, they were also this thing that they are, competing with big giants. So in HCL grant, there is somewhere a notion that these grants are only acceptable or available for big organizations. No. A clear no. That is a wrong notion everyone has. Please, if you see the winners of HCL grant, there are NGOs who are like in the bracket of 1 crore in the border stage, like NGOs like She Hope Society, Anuj. Male Joel was just 1 crore NGO. They were just borderline, and they competed with some of the biggest NGOs in India. They won the HCL grant. And NGOs from Kashmir, She Hope Society, they were in the borderline. They again competed with very great organizations and they won the grant. It's not to demotivate the big NGOs, but I'm just saying that the willingness and the willpower they showed by not letting it go was the success factor for them.
Absolutely. So let's have a quick look of the proposal of the project which Planet Earth is going to implement for next 3 years with the support from HCL Grant.
2018 was the eye-opener for us, because that's the time when Kerala was hit by this huge flood, and almost all the districts were inundated, and unfortunately whatever plastic that was collected by every coastal town or village, it all went into the ocean.
The fishermen communities around Kochi are facing two major issues. The alarming level of plastic in the coastal region is affecting the marine fishermen, and the invasive water hyacinth is affecting the health of freshwater resources, like this Vembanad Lake, which is a Ramsar site. Planet Earth, a not-for-profit charitable organization that works predominantly in waste management, is working towards a long-term sustainable solution where fishermen communities play a key role, both in collection of plastics from the sea and water hyacinth from the freshwater sources. The waste collected gets recycled into profitable resources.
Planet Earth is an organization that came out of a thought from many like-minded people who wanted to do something for the environment. We've been working with plastic waste management for the last 13 years. We did a baseline study in 2021. We found that the fishing boats, they take a lot of provision supplies with them. Everything is packaged in plastic. It's all left in the ocean itself. And our study revealed a shocking figure of around 11 tons of plastic reaching the ocean. We thought that we could collect it from the fisher folk itself, bring it back, get it sorted, graded, and sent for recycling. The Vembanad Lake, which forms the entire backwaters of Kerala, it has a different problem, water hyacinth. That's when we thought about the idea of converting it into something like biobriquettes, biofuels. The proposal for HCL grant involves two parts, part A and part B. Part A is to help us with administering a huge project in 2 harbors, getting all the fishing boats to participate, collecting the plastic that they bring back from the ocean and getting it recycled, and probably looking at a circular economy over there. On the other side, we're looking at water hyacinth, which is a huge menace. We're trying to find a solution in terms of biomass briquettes. We'll be able to recover the water weed, convert it into biofuel, use that to again generate revenue to sustain the project.
So that's the project, and one of the major concerns, the talk of the I would say town, everybody's talking about plastics and how can we further reduce the use of plastic and, reduce it to zero plastic usage. So that was the project, and we are really hoping to, to look forward some wonderful results. I'll come back to you, Mr. Abraham, but I'll again come back to Mr. Verma. Sir, although you have spoken at a stretch, that what has motivated you to, continue your association with the HCL grant. Since you have already seen this trend since 2016-17, the kind of proposals or the projects, abstracts we used to receive then, there has been a significant improvement that we all can very well vouch for and say that. What is it that you specifically have noticed in those trend which has improved, and what is it that you want to further pass on the message to continue improving so that more and more good quality proposals should come in and we kind of select more such organizations, young organizations?
Yeah, very good question, Anuj, because what we are seeing in the field, that the NGOs are making projects as per the availability of budget and then try to fit in their core strength, very rightly so, into the available budget and time frame. And when we go there, they also wonder as to what else they could have done. I would not take the name of one NGO, but then they had given a very good project about, let's say, afforestation. And then they tied up with climate mitigation and carbon assimilation and said that so many million tons of carbon would be assimilated. Now, when we ask them, how have you arrived at this figure? Obviously, there are figures and figures, but our job is to vet it. Then they said, sir, could we come back to you at the time of presentation to jury from where we got this figure, how we have done the survey work, etc., because they had simply not done the homework. So please, one aspect where you should look into is the building of the project as if you are going to get it and you are going to be asked so many questions. It's not that not that we know everything, but the responsibility which is cast upon us forces us to also read, to also be in touch with the subject. And therefore, friends, it would be very necessary that you should be very clear about the strategy to be adopted and about the sustainability aspect. I plant 100,000 acres of trees and then go back after 3 years. So those things are missing. No, sir, by that time we would have strengthened the village forest committee and then they would take care. But there is no proof in the field. So these are the small but very crucial things. So writing the project is one thing, but going to details would be very important as to, if you just think that you are going to get this budget and I should not miss out, then you yourself would be answering so many questions which we ask. Thank you.
I think it came. Thank you, sir. I think that was pretty straight and very clear. So that's something which we try and share with our NGO friends across cities wherever we travel, to share with them our experience and what is it that needs further improvisation. Again, coming to you further. So while Shaili was talking of the two clear objectives of HCL grant, one is to financially award the innovative models, rural development models, and other one is to feature them in the coveted book. You being a very young organization, and having experienced the thoroughness of HCL grant, what do you want to convey to our NGO friends today, that how you as an organization have improved and how this process specifically have enabled you to bring together your organization back in terms of governance, in terms of putting back, policies, procedures, etc. So if you can throw some light on that.
Yes, sir. We started applying, I think it was in 2017 when we first applied. We had no idea, no clue at all, because at that time we were already enjoying the CSR funds of another corporate. So we thought it was just another kind of application that we put across. But then that year we didn't feature anywhere, I believe. I don't even think we merited a reply from HCL. But then the next year in 2018, when we attended the symposium, we learned a lot. In fact, just like today, I remember sitting somewhere at the back at that time because I didn't even feel that sitting in front mattered because we never featured anywhere. But then there was so much input that we got during the 2018 symposium. We took down notes, we went back to the drawing board, like I said, and then we put forward another proposal. And at that time, I think we cleared a couple of rounds. And still we didn't feature beyond, I think, the third or fourth round. Next time we put across a proposal, we actually reached the semi-finals, and we had experts coming down. That's when we really learned, because when they came and they looked at our books and papers, they said, okay, accounts part, nothing too much to worry about. But the project was not very strong, like Robin sir explained earlier during the PPT, in terms of replicability, in terms of impact, in terms of relevance. We didn't score too high. And I remember the gentleman who came to inspect our organization just before we parted at the airport. He looked at us and he said, Suraj, aim for the low-hanging fruits. You know what that means, right? It was like we simply have not done enough work to look for the higher hanging fruits. So we took that as a challenge again, because anyway we are all working in this field, and we put in more work, and we realized that there are a couple of things in terms of governance. Though they never really specifically mentioned it, we realized in governance we are not very strong. So that's when we decided to appoint two independent directors for any kind of cash transactions beyond a certain limit. We streamlined our accounts and finance in such a way that there's only bank transaction. There's hardly any cash transaction that happens at any time in our organization. That was another learning thing that we did. Third is, of course, we always have, in terms of gender balance, women are more in our organization. So we didn't feature too badly on that part of it. But in terms of relevance, impact, and technology, we were very weak in technology. In fact, the only technology we had was our cell phone, nothing beyond that, and WhatsApp groups, which doesn't really help, because like in Nikhil sir's presentation, you must have noticed that the technology component is very important. So that's why even in this year's project proposal, we were careful to include mobile apps and websites and technology monitoring, GPS mapping, satellite imagery, everything had to come in. But there was a lot of learning. So we dedicated teams within our organization to learn, to take books and websites and simply learn. There's a lot of learning to be done. It doesn't happen like a spur of the moment. It's not like painting a beautiful picture. There's a lot of hard work, homework that went into it. And that was the kind of learning that we had, in fact.
I think very, very small things, but see how important these things were. And you know, while in our previous experience also, while we interacted with our previous recipients, you know, same kind of feeling have come out that before HCL grant could visit them, they never thought of, you know, realizing the importance of how relevant it would be to put your documentation together, your governance mechanism as strong as one should be maintaining. So I think that's something which HCL grant really teaches, I think, all of us.
One thing to add, you know, what really worked for Planet Earth, I'm sure, you know, even if they have scored less in some of the parameters, what really worked with them, and this is a learning for all the NGOs sitting out here. When you're presenting your proposal through a concept note and proposal, like you saw it in the video, Suraj mentioned part A of the project, part B of the project. It's very clear. You know, when you present your proposal, it should be in steps. It should not look like, you know, you are everywhere. You should have a focused effort. Part A is that we will work on this. Part B is that we will work on this. And this is the impact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. Nothing more than that. Don't write big paragraphs. Okay, and one more thing, Anuj, I don't know, we should recognize these people also, these NGOs. Can I have Palim India? Please stand up. The Palim India team. Okay. And can I have the Center for Environment Development? Please. If you could just turn around. Okay. these are the two NGOs who got shortlisted from Kerala, and they competed with, so they were shortlisted in the health category. They didn't compete with Planet Earth in the environment category. They were different, but they competed with some of the best NGOs in India who applied in the health category, but they were just short of some marks. They couldn't qualify to the next stage, but their field visits have been done, and they reached to that level. So a big round of applause for these NGOs who are from Kerala, and they have competed with some of the best NGOs. So hats off to you. Please don't leave out this competitive spirit. Okay, you have to compete, and I'm sure one day you will be the winners of HCL Grant sitting there with them. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Robin. No, very rightly said. With a focused approach, I think one can achieve what Planet Earth had achieved from the state of Kerala. So before I, close down the session, and before the final messaging from both Mr. Verma and Suraj, any question, quick question we will take, maybe 1 or 2 questions we'll take, and then we'll head for the lunch, because I really don't want to come in between lunch.
Okay.
So any question from anybody, anything which you wish to understand from, because they are your extended team, they represent the projects.
Hi, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Ajaz, and I run a startup, and we associate with an NGO on a voluntary basis. So a part of the project that we were working on involves a close association between our entity, which is a startup, and the NGO, which is into working with people with limited work options, different abilities, etc. So if we were to come together as a consortium, would it effectively qualify for under your T's and C's?
So everyone got this question? No? Can you just repeat it once again?
Yeah, so I'll break it up. What I'm effectively trying to convey here is, if a startup, which is a privately held enterprise, tags along with an NGO to deliver impact in a particular area, will that qualify as a consortium under your metrics for the grant?
So in HCL grant, only NGOs, registered charitable trust, Section 8 company, they can apply, non-for-profit. For-profit entities can't apply in HCL grant. But your question, now whether they can have a consortium with the NGOs. Yes, you can have with a service agreement. So you will have to have a service agreement with that NGO, that you will be their technical partner, and they will be giving you service fees. Service fees against your invoice. Okay? So you will have to raise an invoice to that particular NGO. They will have a service agreement with you, and you will be treated as a service partner for the particular NGO.
So HCL grant doesn't permit the subletting of grant.
Yes.
For instance, Planet Earth in this case cannot sublet the grant to any other NGO or any other party unless and until they are having a service agreement. So they can of course have technical partnership with any of the organizations, but the sub-granting of the grant which is given by HCL is not allowed through HCL grant.
Okay. My question to Suraj Abraham. From 2018 to 2023, like from Rajagiri to Loyola College, like lots of transformation happened in your organization as well as you are the finalist also. So after one by one, what made you to come again and again to apply for every year?
I suppose every NGO here would know the answer to that. We all want funds, right? And without funds, you can't move forward. That was number one. Number two is this project was something that we needed to do. We felt we needed to do it. The fishermen community, I don't know about Trivandrum, but every other district in Kerala, when we went through the floods and the difficulties of the floods, the saviors came in the form of the fishermen. They endured a lot for us, for our sake. So we felt that we needed to give a payback to them. And when we did a baseline study, I forgot to mention that, okay, before we actually wrote the project, we did a thorough baseline study at Munambam Harbour that was partnering with the government organizations itself. That was Kerala State Fisheries Department, MPADA, all government organizations. In partnership with them, we did the baseline study. When you realize the fishermen community genuinely faces two problems. Number one is plastic. Number two is water hyacinth. So the scale of the project was huge. And there was only one organization that we felt would ever fund such a project. And that is why we approached HCL with this project. That's the answer, I suppose.
A lot of cycling, recycling, upcycling happening, and you're selling a lot of products. And you've been in this business, or I mean, if I may call it as a business, because you're also into selling. Do you think it's going to be economically sustainable in the near future? You don't need any support from such organizations?
You're talking about economic sustainability.
Yeah, financially viable, self-running. Like you're able to produce and sell and then get money and keep running it?
In terms of plastic, what I can tell you is that throughout Kerala, the model that is being used right now, the Harida Karma Sena, as everybody talks about it, it was our model. It was our baby. We started this in 2009, and the Kerala government, during the time of Dr. Vasuki IAS, they picked up our model, and that is the model that has been popularized throughout Kerala right now under the name of Harida Karma Sena, with no credit to Planet Earth, of course. But then, in terms of plastic waste management in the domestic scenario, it is already established. You don't need a parallel model. Robin sir specifically mentioned that if the government has a model, we're not looking at parallel models. So the ocean plastic is something that nobody has actually penetrated into. That's where we are making a presence right now. Because eventually, you know that any bit of plastic that is not managed on the shoreline reaches the ocean, number one. Number two is that a fact that was revealed during our baseline study was that all the fishing boats that go for trawling, not the smaller ones, the bigger ones that go for trawling, they go on an expedition of nearly 15 to 20 days. And they take provisions worth of tens to 20,000s of rupees. You're talking about provisions from cartons of fruity to rice bags to oil cans, and all this is discarded in the ocean itself. Our project has actually brought in the support of the fisher folk to bring back all the plastic that they're taking along and recover abandoned fishing nets and things like that. In terms of sustainability, India is going to be the leader because India has already made a mark in terms of recycling, though it has always been branded as backyard recycling. I think we're number one in the world in terms of informal recycling, but we're getting recognized. And once we get the recognition, I think it's only a question of roping in all the informal rag pickers or what we call waste collectors. They're all roped in. You have a mega project, the biggest recycling project in the world. And in terms of economic sustainability, in terms of carbon payoffs, in terms of plastic credits, it is going to happen. It is definitely happening already. And yes, it is very viable, I'm sure. But we have to make sure that it is not just a business model. Every person, every factor who's involved needs to benefit out of it.
Thank you, Suraj. I think you two have a lot to talk during the networking lunch. So please catch hold of Mr. Abraham. So on that note, we'll formally end this session. And we have planned a small felicitation ceremony for Planet Earth. And I request the Planet Earth team to please join us on the stage. And I also invite Mr. Santosh Jairam to kindly hand over the trophy to Mr. Abraham and the Planet Earth team. And I also invite Robin and Shelly and Ishita, if you could also join me here on the dais for a photo op. So since we had hosted the HCL Grant announcement this time as a virtual ceremony, and we are, privileged to be here in Trivandrum today, so we thought this would be an ideal opportunity. Yes. You please.
No. So this trophy has a significance. This only very few NGOs, they get it. And it's like an Oscars in the CSR world today. So may I have a round of applause? This trophy goes to the winner of HCL Grant 2023 Edition 8 winner, Planet Earth, in the environment category. And that is presented by Mr. Santosh Jairam. He's the Senior Vice President, Global Head, Sustainability, HCLTech. This is a huge moment, an emotional moment for Planet Earth. I remember when Planet Earth was announced as the winner of HCL Grant, Mr. Suraj had tears in his eyes. But that was an emotional moment because we couldn't do the physical event due to COVID ka thoda sa issue was there. But anyways, you know, this is an award which goes to Planet Earth. A round of applause once again to the winner of HCL Grant and in the environment category.
Kerala rocks. All right, many congratulations once again. Now we'll, okay, I request Robin to please hand over the Speaker's Trophy to Dr. Verma. Thank you again, Verma sir, for joining us and taking out time. You've always been very, humble and very supportive. Every time we called you, you were here with us. So thank you so much once again. All right, I think with that, all right. We also will take another 5 minutes to, and especially thanks Loyola College and Sir Dr. Jacob and all the volunteers. So I request all the volunteers to please join me on this stage, and we would love to have you here, and we will be felicitating with all of you with the certificates, and for contributing your time, for helping us putting this show together today. So I'll just take out the names, and I request all of you to please collect your certificates.
Please come
Meenakshi
fast.
GB.
Sorry. Meenakshi? Okay. So this is a certificate of appreciation from HCL Foundation and CSR NGO box for their support, volunteering support for organizing this event. This event couldn't have been possible without the Loyola College faculty and team members' support. And 2 days we were here to arrange all these things. Now we are next going to Mumbai, again doing the same thing. But thank you so much.
And next is Bindya. Do we have Bindya?
Bindya, come. Okay.
The next is Celine George.
Next. Bulate do.
Suzanne. Then we have Fahima. Then we have Anaga. Then we have Ashna.
I think they are the MSW
Then
students
we have Sandra Abraham.
of Loyola College.
Athira Raj. Ajisha. Then we have Veena. Jespin. Akshay. Abhirami. Amalsri. We have Arun. And we have Vismaya.
Thank you once again, all the volunteers. Your efforts, support is much appreciated. And once again, a big thanks to Dr. Jacob and Loyola College. Thank you, Dr. Ranjit, Father Ranjit, for all your support. Anything? Yeah. We will now head for the lunch. And this is arranged at the same venue where there was a breakfast arranged in the morning.